Happy Halloween and welcome to Oscar Sunday. I've got two special guests with me today. I've got my man Connor and of course Caleb to come in to talk a little bit of horror. How are you guys doing? We're knocking down a big time movie here with Carrie, so this is one I've been super stoked to do, and you guys had to be here. So Connor, I want to hear your kind of history with this movie.
Carrie. Oh boy, this is the one that started everything. This was Stephen King's first novel, his first film adaptation, and one of the best like projects he's ever done, and still one of the best adaptations ever. One of Brian De Palma's best films. Kind of one of the quintessential like high school movies.
Yeah.
I've been watching Shudder's 101 Scariest Movie Moments, and Carrie makes an appearance there. And I don't remember who said it, but somebody said that Carrie is the movie. I think it was Joe Bob who said Carrie kind of changed the way we look at high school movies. And yes, Stephen King must have had a fucking terrible time in high school because all of his school related projects are just absolute hell, like crazy ass over the top bullies and just isolation. It's wild. But I've loved Carrie for a very long time. It's been a favorite of mine forever. It's such a great book, such a great movie. I still haven't seen the remake because I've heard it's terrible and not worth my time.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll do it on Beyond the Bad at some point, but Carrie is good enough to be on this show. So I'm psyched to talk about this. This is going to be fun.
Oh yeah. Caleb, what's your relationship with this movie?
Oh, I mean, it's funny enough, not the first adaptation of Stephen King's work I've watched. But when I was very much getting into Stephen King big time as a kid, my first book of his was It. So as I started going on that rabbit hole, eventually led my way to Carrie. Really liked it. I remember thinking like, how in the hell do they adapt this? What's what's the word? Epistolatory novel into an actual movie. I'm like, how the hell do they pull this off? And as I'm digging to the adaptations, I forget how, but I've got my hands on, Brian De Palma's Carrie. And I remember the first time putting it on, just being blown away by how good this was. Because mainly with Stephen King adaptations, you get like very different in the spectrums. This one being so far on the side of good, like, wow, what Brian De Palma pulled off both in adapting and doing a lot of his very, very famous camera work that he's known for. Boy, does that dude love his camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a great film. We'll get more into it, but this is just like it blew me away with how good this film was. Even my own parents were like, oh, when I was getting to Keen, they're like, you gotta check out Carrie, like Sissy Spacek's really good in it. It's just a really good movie. And yeah, it captures everything about like what makes King great, and that he can, he gets you into these characters, even though they're, like you said, Carl, there's some over the top bullies in all of King's work.
Yeah.
It gets you into the characters. It makes you care before all the supernatural stuff starts to go down.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think this time when I watched it last night, we're recording this on Saturday night, so this will be out on Sunday, and then of course Monday is Halloween. So we wanted to do like a big classic horror movie, and we've never really like dug into Carrie properly. Whether we've like kind of beat around the bush or I don't know. I know we've mentioned it a few times on this show because we've been to 1976 with we did Rocky and Taxi Driver in the past. So we've kind of mentioned it, but we've never really dug into Carrie and why it's so special. And I think because it is a super dark, like a high school movie that you can feel something underneath what's happening the first hour or so, like Caleb said before the supernatural telekinetic shit happens. But it's very much leading up to a moment. It's leading up to like a big cinematic moment. And my like relationship with this is I wasn't really exposed to horror movies too much as a kid, and even these big classic ones. But there's something about this movie that my mom also liked because of Sissy Spacek, because of Piper Laurie, and because of Brian De Palma. Because this guy went on to have this really amazing career and do, Scarface and fucking stuff like that, all the way to, like a Mission Impossible. He has this crazy filmography. And so there's like this respect that Carrie carries with it. And I've always loved that about it, you know. And Connor, you said it's good enough to be on this show. This is a movie we've probably should have done a long time ago on Filmgasm. You know, it's just one of the quintessential horror movies of the 70s. It was up for 2 Oscars. That's why we're doing it here. And I wanted to do a 70s horror movie near Halloween because I want to do another draft with you guys. That is undeniably my favorite decade of especially American cinema. It's not really even close. The 70s are like, it's like the king for me. And I think specifically in horror, it has so much cool shit to offer, whether it be, you know, the monstrous movies like Jaws or The Exorcist or Alien. There's also a lot of really like niche, you know, shit that's like up someone's alley and someone else is going to hate. I think the 70s and 80s just have so many random little fucking movies, these gems in the horror genre that I've just fallen in love with as I've gotten older. So I want to draft some movies with you guys, and you know, we'll do Carrie Awards later. We'll look at that ceremony, the 49th Academy Awards. We'll look at that later. But this is mostly about honoring horror movies because that's, you know, that's kind of what brought us three together. That's why we've like, that's our favorite thing to talk about. Anytime we do a big horror movie, we got to bring Caleb on. And this to me is our most ambitious draft.
Ooh. Real quick, I do want to point out that I actually did do Carrie on Filmgasm.
You did it by yourself, didn't you?
One of the first like 15 episodes.
You motherfucker.
I was me with a microphone trying to figure out what the hell this was and just picking movies I wanted to talk about and devoting like 15 to 20 minutes of pop because I was like just talking too fast. I was too nervous and we didn't do it proper. So this is Carrie proper.
That would have been, let's see, that would have been fucking what, almost like three and a half years ago or some shit.
Yeah. I think we started it like May 2019, I want to say.
Jesus. Yeah.
So that was around then.
So over 3 years, like 3.5 years. So that's pretty fucking crazy. Yeah, that's right. You did some major movies at that first run before I was able to come on, and then of course before Caleb and Josh came into the fold. We always knew Caleb was gonna come around. But yeah, you did some bangers.
I wish things had worked out differently. That, you know, that first run I feel like those are all just empty episodes that add nothing to the discussion because it's just me talking to a wall very fast with no discussion. And yeah, they're not great, but you know what? We've redone a couple of them now. We brought a lot over to Oscar Sunday. I don't think we brought any to Beyond the Bad because I wasn't consciously choosing terrible movies. But anyway, you know, it's fun to revisit, and this is going to be exciting. There's a lot of movies here to talk about.
Oh yeah, tons, right? We're each going to pick 5. And you know, we always do the snake draft here. I feel like we've done a few of these. The last one we did was I believe 1982. We did just 1982 movies because we were talking about Poltergeist, right? Yeah. And that was a lot of fun. We all got to pick like, you know, big movies that, you know, people like in general, and then we got to kind of pick our own movies. I anticipate that happening again here today, but I know there's some bangers that we all kind of have, you know, we have our eye on them because we're like-minded with some of these, but the thing about the 70s is there's enough to go around for everybody. You know, we're all going to get some monstrous hits, and we're also going to get some personal stuff. Before we get started, Caleb, like, what's your relationship with 1970s horror? Like, what does it mean to you? Because yeah, you know, I know Connor and I know myself, and it's very important to us.
Yeah, no, when I was getting into a lot of horror films, 70s films were the first ones I got into. Actually, believe it or not the 80s. And it's just because, again, my parents, there's a lot of stuff they recommended. There was a lot of stuff they recommended to me, and because of, you know, being born in 92, I was a teenager during the famed remake craze of the early 2000s. And a lot of stuff getting remade outside of J horror films was 70s, 80s horror films. So I remember watching, actually, like, for example, I watched the 03 remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre first, but because of it, I was like, oh, I really want to watch the original. And now the original is like one of my all-time favorites. Like I absolutely adore the original.
Yeah.
Um, and then seeing things like Halloween and Alien and all this stuff, and just really developing a love of what was coming out at that time in 1970s film, and especially horror, and seeing a lot of these filmmakers and their, a lot of cases, a lot of beginning filmmakers' careers.
Yeah.
And with it being the authorship decade, as I like to call it, thanks to the Hays Code being dismantled and all that stuff going on, you got a lot of really cool, adventurous stuff that we probably would not have gotten if it wasn't for what happened prior. And I just, yeah, outside of 80s, 70s is another decade I go back to a lot for especially for horror film.
Yeah. Yeah. Well put. So yeah, this is special, man. It's rare that we get an episode so close to Halloween. And Connor and I had talked about doing different stuff, and it was like, it just feels right to kind of do something where we can talk about a lot of horror movies at one time. And to me, this is the best way to do it. So yeah, I'm super excited. The first pick will be going to Caleb. Connor, you have the second pick. I have the third pick again because the randomizer fucking hates my guts, and that's okay. On the other drafts, I was kind of mad about that. With this one, I'm like, there's like 20 motherfucking movies I love from the horror genre and during this decade. So like, I'm okay. It'll be fine. I'm going to get 5 movies I really like. So Caleb, you can start whenever you want.
Oh, great. Perfect. So I'm just going to take the first big one that I was gunning for this whole time. That's Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
That was the one I'm like, I'll take anything else, but I really want this one. God,
I did too, because I feel like I haven't been able to talk about this movie enough. I mean, Connor and I did an episode on it like a couple years ago now, but I feel like it's hard to like really articulate how much I love this movie. So this is a great pick.
Yeah, Toby Hooper, R.I.P. Mad genius behind the camera. He made a film that's so aesthetically grimy, so dirty. Like you kind of feel it when you watch. That a lot of the violence, because that was a big thing. People would hype it up to me when even my parents, like, oh, when you watch the original, it's so violent. I remember watching, and as a kid, first time going like, oh my God, what is this movie? It feels like a documentary. Like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
And what's beautiful is that all that violence people talk about, none of it you actually see on screen. Because the movie is shot in a way that you think you see and you don't. The closest you get is a couple of times when the one guy gets hit with the hammer and his body's still twitching, or Franklin, one of the most annoying characters in film history, gets a chainsaw into his stomach, and you see a little blood spurt kind of happen for a quick second. And that's about it. Like that's all you really get. Everything else is very much implied. But then like the end of the film, and this is what to me is what I think made me fall in love, was actually the very end of film. And you see, I've talked about it before, but like I think I talked about it on Poltergeist maybe. Hooper is so good at organized chaos, and you see it to perfection at the end of this movie during the dinner scene. And if you know how they even pulled that shit off, and the stuff going on behind the scenes with that, like it's Texas heat, they're filming it, they have lights on that house for lighting the scene so it's even hotter. People were miserable, the crew wanted to quit. Like it's an insane story how they even got that part of the film shot, and the end product just speaks for itself. Quick side note, whoever is buying the damn house right now, don't know if you guys heard, they are considering tearing down the house, and if so, they can go to hell.
Yeah, I did hear about this. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you hear about that, Connor?
No, like the
house we went
that's like the restaurant.
Yeah, it's changing ownership, and the new owners are considering tearing it down.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bummer, man. I didn't know that. That's such a cool landmark of Texas history, of film history.
It's our best movie. Like,
yeah, pretty much. It's our state's best movie. We should try to have that declared like a national landmark.
We shall not be moved. Yeah, we should go down there and hold hands and fucking sing. Like,
I'll do whatever I can to save that house. That's important.
Yeah, it's fucked up. Yeah.
It makes me sad, especially like so like I think out of all the horror films, I think I have some of the most memorabilia from this movie. I've been to the house with you, Connor, when we thought it was going to be up standing forever. And it was really cool going there. I've been to the gas station, had my mom take me when I was visiting one day. We went to the gas station and I got barbecue and some soda and a whole lot of merchandise from there. So it's this movie means a lot to me for both in just the world of horror, as we talked about Texas cinema. It's kind of like I always joke that like being a metalhead, I have to like Pantera because it's like all Texas offers to the metal world. And as a horror fan from Texas, I have to like this movie. And it's on. I'm not saying, man, I actually do both really like Pantera and this movie, so it works out.
It does work out. That's great. Yeah. God, this movie fucking rules, Certainly one of the best of its genre, like of all time. And to me, in my opinion, one of the scariest movies of all time. Just so unsettling. It's not funny. It's like not trying to fuck around and be silly. It is fucking nasty and grimy and gross and so much fun and so well made and has no fat on it. So yeah, I just love that movie to death. It's a great pick.
Yeah. I got nothing more to say about Texas Chainsaw Massacre that y'all haven't already said. We did our full episode on it. I do think that there are a lot of episodes, like a lot of films we talked about early on, that I feel like are worth revisiting.
Yeah.
Just, with a different mindset, with different people to make a different discussion. Texas Chainsaw is one of those movies.
We could do Texas Chainsaw once a year. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, pretty much. Good pick, man.
And I think my favorite thing about this movie is if you do find someone who hasn't seen it, it's one of those like, ha ha ha, like, like, oh my God, I can't wait to see your face when you watch it.
It's one of those movies you got to be really careful. Like, could this ruin my relationship with this person, or are they going to be on board?
You got to go down. You got to go down that road at some point. So fuck it.
Look, that's like most of my movie collection. So like,
yeah. It's just. Connor, what's your first pick?
Well, I am not going to be nice. I am snaking Jaws.
Yeah, I figured you wouldn't let me, take that one. Yeah.
Sorry. No.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's too important. Jaws is too important. It's one of the most incredible American films of all time. We did an epic FILMGAZM. We did an epic Oscar Sunday. It is the bomb. There is nothing more I can say about Jaws that I haven't already said, that we haven't, all three of us haven't already said. We did that one together. And it's an absolute masterpiece of filmmaking and still scary as shit and still amazing and a wonderful film.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what do you say? It's just like, yeah, good.
The definitive creature feature, bar none.
And is like probably the signature movie from that decade,
Yeah, pretty much. That's when I think of 1970s horror. Yeah,
movies. I mean, just movies in general.
Movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
I mean, what else is, what passes it,
That's high praise.
That's high praise.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I don't even know what more to say about Charles that we haven't already said, but
I'll say this.
It's a great movie.
One of my bucket list items is to experience Jaws on the water on Lake Travis. I'm going to do that someday.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I just keep either missing it or forgetting about it or COVID or all sorts of shit. But the next time they do it, I will fucking be there. I don't care what I have to move around. I'm going to be there.
I love it. I love that. Yeah. Actually so I have 15 movies written down because it's like, well, we're going to take 15 in case you guys take the ones I want. I want to have backups. I have them ranked, right? The first two movies I have are Jaws and Texas Chainsaw. So, job well done.
Good thing you got back. Good thing.
Yeah, no, it is good. What if I was just like, I'm done. I quit. I've got nothing. No, I'm gonna take one like big banger, and then I'm gonna take one that's more for me. So I'll go ahead and take 1978 Halloween, John Carpenter's coming out party in the late 70s. We've talked about this movie a bunch throughout different shows. You know, just the best slasher. Like, you know, just like the most textbook fucking awesome slasher. Don't know how someone could watch this and not have fun. Great performances. John Carpenter at the top of his game. My personal favorite is The Thing of his movies, but I think Halloween is just as good, you know, just as masterful. And, you know, started what now? We have like 14 of these motherfuckers now, Halloween movies. So I don't really want to talk about the newest one. I don't really want to get into it because I wasn't a huge fan. I try to just always remember that 1978 one and how special it is.
Fair enough. Yeah. Halloween is it's special. It's the pioneer. And it's so I was watching some clips from it earlier today. Nice. And I feel like Nick Castle does not get enough credit for his performance as Michael in that movie.
100%.
Just the way he holds himself, the just, you know, rigid way he shoots upward, the haunting image of him in the back of the shadows and whatnot. It's a masterpiece of a performance. And yeah, the movie's great. Not enough people talk about Nick Castle. So I want to give props to Nick Castle for that movie.
Can I just say it's so nice to hear Connor you talk about these performances, because I remember you being like, "Oh, anyone could play these kind of roles," and it's like something clicked. Something clicked. You finally joined my side on this.
It's called growth, Caleb. I research, I watch, I learn, I change, I grow.
So unlike the rest of our society, at times it seems.
Yeah, good.
Someone's got to do it. Might as well be us.
You're one of the good ones. Yeah.
Like Austin, I don't want to delve too much into Halloween Ends because I was also not a big fan of it. But I had the joy, because this is a yearly watch for me when it comes to like October. And I had the joy of Regal, not too far from where me and Josh live, was playing it on the big screen the same weekend they did Trick or Treat, so I was like, oh, hell yeah.
That's cool.
So I went there to go see Trick or Treat. Also, because I'm going to support that, how wonderful that film is, and should have been in theaters. Podcast for a different day. But I also went to go watch Halloween. I was like, if I want to watch it this year for my annual, let's see it on the big screen. And it was just as awesome seeing it on the big screen, and played just as well. Like, you know, well over I think 44 years now, 44 years later. And yeah, I mean, I love Carpenter to death. The dude has a stellar filmography.
Yeah.
And this is just one of his mini masterpieces. Like what he achieved, so simple, laying a lot of the groundwork, or being a part of like this group of 70s films like this, Chainsaw Massacre and a few others that laid the slasher groundwork for the 80s to just take that and run with it for a whole decade. Yeah. And a lot of shit starts here with Halloween, and obviously some films prior that don't really get their due with it as much. But Halloween, just like it did it. I mean, it's one of the most profitable indie films of all time. I think it got beat by, I think Friday the 13th, and then Saw beat it, and Blair Witch, obviously. But yeah, such a great film. Yes, Nick Castle, 41. You know, joking aside, but I was referencing with Connor earlier. You know, anyone that tries to say like, you know, anyone can put that mask on, whether it be Michael or Jason, or insert, you know, they don't talk, they just kill slasher villain, right? You're right, anyone can do it, but it takes a true actor to make you terrified of that character, to make you have moments like the moment that Nick Castle, you know, he stabs the person in the movie, Michael, and then tilts his head like a child.
Yeah,
that wasn't scripted. That was Nick Castle getting into character and thinking like, what would Michael do in this part? And it's a scene that to this day has lasted, and most people remember that. It's a 1 second part, but everyone remembers it. And maybe we tried replicating it in future films because of it. And that's the power of you just taking the time to care about this silent psycho killer you're playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like, not everybody's just a big motherfucker like Nick Castle, you know, like not everybody has the physique and that like gravitas to play something like that. Like I would look like a damn fool out there, you know? Like there's just something about the sheer size of him that's like, whoa, holy shit. The broad shoulders, you know, and like you said, just the neck movement, the head movement. So yeah, he's great, and he's just as important as Jamie Lee Curtis, you know?
Yeah. 100%. And I do want to point out real quick, just to finish this off here, Nick Castle has a cat named Michael Meowers.
Oh, that's lovely.
That's delightful.
Nick
Lovely
Castle,
touch.
I think, took the mask home and put it under his mattress for years after the movie.
Yeah, that's where that iconic piece of horror history laid yellowing up under a mattress for 30, 40 years. And then that's why they couldn't fucking replicate it for every movie afterwards, because they had to just, it's like they kept recreating it from memory, but the memory kept degrading.
It's fantastic.
It is, as look, I get such a kick sometimes out of watching the sequels and just seeing like how the mask looks. Sometimes I forget, I'm like, oh, that's how the mask looks in this one. Like, that's right.
Yeah, it's hilarious. But that's, this film was such an indie film that like no one was overseeing that shit. No one thought like we should preserve this because this is going to be important. They were just like, all right, cut, print, check the gate. I got to go make the thing. Let's do this.
Brilliant. I love it. I love that. These are great picks. Texas Chainsaw, Jaws, Halloween. But with my next pick, with this one, the big Cronenberg fan, right? Mr. David Cronenberg definitely came out in the 70s and did some real wacky shit. I'm a fan kind of all of it. I've never really seen a movie of his where I'm like, nah, that wasn't good. I genuinely like how much he goes for it, how much he kind of stays true to his vision. I could go with Shivers, I could go with Rabid, but I'm gonna go with The Brood from 1979. My favorite, probably my favorite. I don't know. The Fly is tough to beat, but I don't know. I think The Fly is better, but The Brood, there's something about The Brood that just gets so far under my skin that it makes me smile. I love this movie.
It's because you have a kid. That's why.
It could be what it is. It also, I like this movie with like the history of it, that Cronenberg like heard about the movie Kramer vs. Kramer from the same year and was like, I'm gonna make that movie, but it's gonna be a horror movie. I think that's really funny. So it's a really cool double feature. You know what I'm saying? So I love The Brood so much. It is like undoubtedly one of the first movies I think about when I think about the 70s. It's not one of the most successful, but I think at this point it has its cult following. It has the Criterion edition. It's got its fans, and I'm proud to be one of them. Connor, you and I did this movie again maybe a couple years ago on FILMGAZM, and we did this in Dead Ringers, if I'm not mistaken. Couple of Cronenberg movies, and we were like, holy shit, this guy is just fucking incredible. Whether you like it or not, you're always entertained.
Yeah, I'm a proud owner of the Criterion edition of that movie because it's so twisted and warped, but oddly realistic in a way. I don't know what it is. It's like, I believe that Oliver Reed could talk some lady into birthing pure rage.
Yeah.
Look, with that voice on that man, yes.
That movie's fucking weird, and I would love to be in the room with Cronenberg pitching any of his films.
Yeah.
I would love to hear what he would say to convince people to get on board with this. To tell Samantha Eggar, like, look, all right, so you're gonna birth the fetus and then you're gonna lick it clean. And she's like, gotcha, Dave. Let's do this. Take one.
Well, she went up to him, and that lick was improv by her on the spot.
Oh, okay. Never mind. She's the weirdo here.
Yeah, he's like, calm down. Cronenberg's like, chill out.
No, I bet he was like, oh, that's gold.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Do it again.
I want to know like how bad his divorce was. He did this after his divorce.
Yes.
This was his response. Yeah. I'm like, how bad was it between you two, dude? Like, holy shit.
And then his son Brandon watches it, like, is like, damn, I was fucked up as a kid.
You were the fetus, Brandon.
Yeah. He's like, oh god, yeah. There's like images from this movie that like always come back to my mind. Like in the schoolroom, and the scene in the room is so haunting but so good. It just really well made. Cronenberg has kind of done it all now. I love that he had that kind of, he could do that, and then as he got older, he does like a movie like History of Violence. You're like, god damn, this guy, Eastern Promises, like This guy's got some stuff in his bag. He's just a damn good director.
Yeah. Well
Yeah.
said. I'm glad someone grabbed The Brood. It's a great little horror movie that has definitely like built more of an audience over the years. And it's one of those films that every Cronenberg fan, I'm sure, loves at this point. But like if you're just getting into Cronenberg, The Brood is where you should go next.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, you showed me that because I've been catching up on Cronenberg myself. And yeah, you showed me that one finally, and yeah, no, it's awesome movie, and it's definitely like I know it actually didn't catch on when it first released. But mainly because when I was getting into Cronenberg, it's always been listed as amongst his best. It's like that, Rabid, Shivers,
Yeah.
Videodrome. Like you are always hearing about like that being ranked up above his best scanners. So watching, I was like, okay, I get it. I understand. It's like this is I get why I may didn't catch on at first. I know this is one of his earliest films. Maybe his film debut. I cannot remember off the top of my head right now.
Wasn't his debut? I think Rabid or Shivers was his debut.
Yeah, Shivers is 75, Rabid is 77, Brood is 79.
Okay. So this was like his third film. So people were getting, used to him, but like any good film, I always judge a film more so based off how long it can last more than how it does at the moment.
100%. Especially with horror. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And hell, this month alone, how Terrifier 2's doing, that's fucking proving that point right now.
Yeah.
Beating some major releases.
Because we care.
Yeah.
Yeah. We care about like going to the theater and like, actually like getting that word of mouth thing going. Horror fans have always just given a shit.
Exactly. And quick side note, I finally saw it at theaters, Terrifier 2. It's fucking awesome.
Hell yeah.
Good. But yeah, this is really good. I get why fans like The Brood so much. It's definitely up there with me for Cronenberg as far as like good Cronenberg films. This is up there.
Yeah, I passed up some fucking heavy hitters, but I wanted to make sure I could kind of refer it to people, So, Connor, what do you got?
Well, I feel like I'd be betraying myself if I didn't take The Omen.
Ah, yes, this is definitely right up your alley.
Oh boy, I feel like I've mentioned this movie more than any film ever on Oscar Sunday. This just keeps popping into the conversation because it's such an incredible film. So eerie, so well constructed, so well acted, so well written, so well scored. It's got everything. It's the ultimate religious nightmare. And I say that fully aware that The Exorcist is here.
Yeah.
The Omen is the understated, more soft Exorcist. And that freaked me out more than, the devil is here. It's more like the devil's coming. And that scares me more than, anything. I'll always go to bat for The Omen. It's one of my favorite movies of all time and just gets better with each watch. I adore that film to death. I can't wait to do it again on this show at some point.
Yeah, we will. I'm definitely have some plans for like already for next year as far as like horror movies go. The Exorcist is going to happen next year because it's hitting its 50th anniversary. But I don't know. We're doing Carrie from 1976 today, so next year I would like to do The Omen, the other Oscar-nominated 1976 movie. Good pick.
Yeah, Omen kicks ass. It's it's definitely one of those when you want to get someone into it, like, hey, you should check out The Omen, but be prepared if you're expecting like, in your face horror. Like this is a much more subtle film, much more subtle, takes its time, but when it hits, it hits. Like
yes,
best way to describe it. Like the scene where the dude gets his head decapitated, and you're like, what the fuck did I just watch?
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite. That's my favorite bit. Yeah.
I love just all the people who show up to be like, I am here to serve you, Damien. And just like they keep popping in, and Gregory Peck just is not aware of this at all. And the more he learns, the more he starts being convinced, like, is my child the Antichrist? Dude, you see nothing in that movie. It's all just what you're told and what you are like, what you have to believe. It's so mind-boggling.
Yeah, and great acting, like truly great acting.
Dude, I remember getting to like the end of this film first time I watch it, yelling at my TV like, just fucking stab him, dude. Stop taking your time. Just do it. Think of Shia. Just do it.
That's exactly what went off in my head was fucking Shia LaBeouf, fucking Lewis Stevens, fucking screaming at me.
Don't let your dreams be dreams, Gregory.
Oh, that's great. Oh man, by me picking The Brood and Connor picking The Omen, there are just some monumental movies on the board. And Caleb, you have 2 picks in a row. What are you going to do with them?
All right, I'm gonna do one that should be monumental outside of horror, but I think it's severely underrated, except in the horror genre, and that is the Christmas slasher of all Christmas slashers.
Fuck,
Black Christmas.
God damn it.
Yep. I sympathize, Austin.
What?
I sympathize.
Yeah, I thought I'd get that on the swing. I thought that dumb, stupid. I should have saved The Brood. I'm an idiot.
I fucking love this movie. I am picking up Shouts 4K that's coming out this year.
Nice.
Oh my god, everything about this movie is the fact that first off, I remember when I watched this, like Bob Clark directed this. I was like the Christmas Story guy. I was like, what the
yeah,
fuck?
yeah.
Okay. I'm like Olivia Hussey's in this. I'm like, what is this horror film? Like, because I in school seen Romeo and Juliet, so I was like, oh yeah, late from Romeo and Juliet. But wow, like the phone calls alone in this movie, they're so like perverse and raunchy and terrifying. Like I still to this day when I watch it will get the occasional chill on those phone calls. Like it's just like the voice coming on their side. I think if my knowledge is not failing me right now, I'm pretty sure it's Bob Clark doing some of the phone calls. And how he just changes the voice and shit on a dime, the pitch and everything. The fact that, and something that the first remake that actually was remaking this, unlike the second one. Say what you will about giving him backstory. I know that I've seen it, it's a kooky backstory, but it works so much better not knowing. Like just having like constantly mentions of Agnes and Billy, and you're like, how what? Who? How's all this fit? That makes it more terrifying. So like, who are these people that he keeps mentioning in the phone calls? Who is this guy? And how he picks them off one by one in this, like the shot when oh my god, when Olivia Hussey realizes he's in the house, and it zooms in, it's just his eyes staring at her. I'm getting chills just thinking about it right now. Like, this film I talked about before, like when we talked about films like The Stranger and stuff on other on FILMGAZM. There's just something so inherently terrifying when you take what people feel is safe, and that is your home, your house, right? That's where you feel safe. And horror says, not even your home safe, dude. Fuck off with that. You need to be terrified in your own home. And this film does that completely with a sorority house full of women that should be comfortable. They're carefree. They're getting ready to enjoy their Christmas break, and then some psychopath is in their house picking them off one by one.
God, it's one of my favorite setups of all time. God, I love this movie. It's become like this thing my mind always goes back to. And I'm not like a huge Christmas person. And this movie, like I don't know what it is. Like there's certain movies that I love that are probably not, your definition of like a jolly good show, good fun Christmas, but this is like at the top of my list. It's like this is one I'm gonna watch every Christmas for the rest of my life. God, and Bob Clark also directed that movie called Death Dream this same year. About that, I might be wrong. I haven't seen it in a couple of years, but it's about I believe a Vietnamese soldier who comes back home like out of nowhere and goes like on this rampage. So to do, I don't know, just to be the prolific ability to just like do these crazy nasty horror movies of the 70s and 80s. I just fucking have so much respect for it. And you've got 2 of 1974's best movies to offer, period, off the bat for Caleb. So this is going really well. We've got some good movies here.
Yes.
Yeah. Black Christmas.
It's just great. Yeah, go ahead, Connor.
I didn't like it the first time I watched it. The first time I watched Black Christmas, I was like, I don't get it. And then we watched it for the show, and I was like, this is fucking awesome. Like,
yeah, there's something about when you know you got to like speak on it.
it
You're
is,
like,
you know, there's
yeah.
watching stuff for the show. I watch it differently and it clicks so much more often.
Yeah,
I don't know
agree.
what that is. It's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, Black Christmas is one of those movies. And I love that you don't know why. It's so like, you know, most of the time I want closure, I want answers. But with Black Christmas, it's so much more unsettling that this was possibly just a random psycho.
Yeah. Yes. The ambiguity of the ending of this movie is like, oh my God. Like, just like it's a dream.
The POV shots of Billy like climbing up the house and just like watching them and knowing where he is, but them having no idea. The saran wrap murder, like it's fucking crazy. Yeah, I admire Black Christmas big time, and it's a film I've been trying to add into my family's Christmas rotation for quite some time. They're not biting, but I'm gonna keep trying.
Dude,
I'm not watching that show with my family either. I'm like, I'm gonna wait till everybody's asleep. and this is just for me. This is just some fun for me.
dude,
Can't watch the Muppet Christmas Carol again. I'm watching Black Christmas.
my Christmas rotation will be like the Christmas specials that I love, and then turn around and be like, all right, now let's watch some fucking Black Christmas. Let's watch some Silent Night, Deadly Night. Let's see how Santa Claus can fuck people up, or some psychopath in a sorority house.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it's good to have a balance, right? It's fun to have those, like you said, those kind of cartoon specials, but really this is where my heart's at.
I do think Black Christmas has one of the most ridiculous film slogans of all time, which is this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too tight. I always thought that was stupid, but it's a great movie.
Yeah, that's funny. The 70s. Oh man.
So that was my first pick.
Yeah, so you have another one. Yeah. You got a good one too right there. Texas Chainsaw and Black Christmas. That's pretty fucking gritty.
So far, it's exactly what's me.
Just really turning you on.
Yeah. On that note,
let's keep it going.
The one I'm falling into this one because this is what I'm picking next. But this is the original Wes Craven debut.
Ooh.
Last House on the Left.
Nice.
Now, I will preface what I understand anyone that doesn't just watch this for a good time like I do. I get that. This is a tough film. And I tell anyone that if you're getting into Wes Craven, start off soft, do Scream, Nightmare on Elm Street, take your time, because boy, does he deliver it just unrelenting, brutal, grim, just nonstop in your face film with Last House on the Left. This is someone that is trying to, as he stated, with the Vietnam War that was going on and them showing the violence on TV and people were just watching, this was his statement on going, how is it you guys can sit there and watch this shit, but my movie's too far, So in his movie, he purposely made it the way it was. He was pushing it and saying, how much can you actually take, huh? Because this isn't, like you were watching real violence. This is fake. Like these actors went home at the end of the day. And, he's pushing you and how far you can go. And, it, like I said, it's not like, that's why I said it's not a film I would start out with for anyone new to Craven. But it's one of those films I feel like when you do it, you look at your friend like, hey, I think I'm ready to take on the genre. You're like, all right, let's do it. And you watch it, and it's just like from the moment they get caught in the woods and all the stuff, or they get them taken out in the woods, the other shit, and you're just subject to the torture and the rape and all the stuff that's happening to them. And then it flips it, they end up at the parents' house, and the revenge they get is just as sick and just as twisted. And you're just sitting there going, and for you go, well, at this point, how right are they? Because the parents are depraving themselves to such a low level to get back what they, because they're obviously rightfully angry at what happened, what they find out. But it makes you sit there and go, like, where is the line? I do know that, some people have issues with like the bumbling cops that pop up in the film. And they've grown on me in the sense that like this is such a grim nihilistic movie. You kind of need that just to have a little bit of like
It's an outlet.
celebrity.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this movie, I love it. I really everything Craven pulls off with this. I think he does so well. I actually do think the remake's really good, but he was involved with the remake actually. But yeah, Last House on Left, great fucking debut from Wes Craven.
Good shit. Good shit. Connor, is this one that you had on your radar?
Not really, because I knew Caleb was going to snag this. His genre apparently is hot 70s chicks getting stabbed to death. Which I am not, yeah, that makes sense. This is such a fucking twisted, sick watch. It's really just a hard film to stomach. But
Yeah, but it's
but
awesome.
it is great. Like once you accept the fact, like, oh, this isn't real. Once you convince yourself, like they're gonna be okay, fine. Then you can kind of get on board. But God, Craven makes it really fucking hard to get on board.
Even the tagline for the movie, dude, it's literally them just repeating, remember, it's only a movie. It's only a movie. So like
Yeah.
you're like, what the fuck am I about to watch?
Yeah, doesn't the poster have like the original poster from 72 have like something about fainting on it? Like, or
Yeah.
it's got some warning on it. I remember that's why I watched it. And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, I have to see that. I have to know what happened here.
To avoid fainting, keep repeating it's only a movie. Like that's
there you go. Yeah. Yeah, that's like a call. That's like a fucking, when like you see those guys like with duck collars like out in the fucking woods, they're like hunting. That's like a duck collar to horror fans. Like, oh well, yeah, I better go over here because it's dangerous.
Oh, I know. I've talked about it before. If you try to tell me it's a fucked up movie or it's supposed to serve something from you watch, I am flocking to my screen
Yeah.
as soon as possible. In some cases, buying it right after I watch it, aka the sadness.
Yeah, I tend to need some convincing, usually from you, Caleb. But yeah, it is. It's one of those horror staples. It started Wes Craven's career. It's an essential watch. I don't know if it's an essential rewatch, but at least once for everyone who calls themselves a horror fan, I think they should watch it at least once.
Oh, for sure. I think it's one of those tentpole. If you're going through the decades of horror and you're trying to learn, if I had my own horror textbook and there's X amount of 70s movies that you put into that textbook of like, this is how horror became what it is and this is the history of it, this is one of the movies. It could be like the movie from 1972. Like, look, like, it's a big deal. This guy's career is a big fucking deal. And for me, I love Scream to death, but I watched that one way more. But like, if I'm picking one that I like that first time I watched it, how like it impacted me, I'm choosing The Last House on the Left as just like, holy fucking shit, look what this guy's capable of. Scream is fun as hell. This is like, whoa, like buckle up. It's like an hour and 20 minutes of hell.
Yeah. That's a great way to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one I myself have rewatched, so I don't know what that says about me, but I have gone back to the well quite a bit.
I need to watch it again. It's been a while. I had this one on my on my short list of movies I was thinking about picking, but I do need to rewatch it. It's been a minute.
Yeah. I don't know.
Connor's like, I don't know, man. Well, maybe we could do it on Filmgasm. We could all go down that road together.
It'll happen. Like
I'll gladly go down that road.
Yeah, sign me up. I'm fucking hitchhiking. Connor, you have another pick.
Oh boy. Okay.
This is fun.
I'm in the mood for a little Italian, so I'm gonna grab Suspiria.
God damn it.
Trying to sound one. Oh,
Argento.
I've seen Suspiria about 3 times now, and every time I watch it, I am more freaked out by it. It's a brilliant visual feast of a nightmare. And you see so little. It's like the shadows are the scariest part. Just, that one sequence where the one girl is like chased by something. You don't know what the hell it is. You just know that there's something in the dark and it's after her. And every time I get chills, I look away. It's a freaky scary, terrifying movie, and just my favorite Italian horror film by far. I'm glad I was able to snag it because this is and one of the few cases where I actually enjoyed the remake way more than I thought I would.
Yeah, the remake's fucking sick.
Yeah, because it was something else. Luca Guadagnino did his own thing. He didn't just try to remake Argento's work. He took the name and he did something else.
Well, he did something else. I think I put in my review. I actually do like the remake quite a bit myself. Whereas, with this film, obviously, it's what the hell's going on because it's the original. Guadagnino did the smart thing of saying, like, okay, look, people who are watching this, a good chunk of them are going to be people who saw the original, who know the original. So they know what's going on. So the question is, how? Why? And he asks that question instead and explores that and makes it his own. Yeah, makes it his own. Quick side note, I'm really looking forward to his new one. That Bones and All looks actually pretty goddamn good.
I can't fucking wait. Yeah, I can't wait for Bones and All. Yeah. Yeah, Luca is like, he's also Italian. So like he's paying tribute, to probably one of his heroes, right? Which is really admirable and really cool. There's also a good amount of time in between. It's like 40 years in between these movies coming out, 1977 and 2018. The commitment to being different, having your own spin of weird. I also just think Luca's just a fucking good director. He's kind of tackled different genres, different things. Call Me by Your Name, A Bigger Splash, Suspiria, and now this like fucking cannibal movie that's coming out next month. Yeah, I'm like all in on this guy. He's definitely someone to look out for a while, and already has a pretty cool resume.
True, but as decent as the remake is, it does not touch.
Oh yeah,
Argento's work here.
Yeah.
This is
Argento's use of color alone in this movie. The score. Oh my, I love, and he worked with Goblin throughout his career, and so he's always had killer scores. But like it to me is probably my favorite of all of them that I've watched. I'm pretty still kind of, I would say, noobish. To Argento. There's still quite a bit I need to explore. But what I've seen, this is still my favorite score he's ever committed to film.
Oh, dude, Suspiria's score is one of my favorite horror scores of all time. It's like a fairy tale horror score. It's like Once Upon a Time in Hell. It's so creepy.
I like that.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah, I love Suspiria. I wrote a paper on Suspiria. My European film class I took in college. I had to convince the guy to let me write because it was like right outside our window we were looking at, and I'm like, please let me write about Suspiria. And he's like, all right. And yeah, I had to track that down. I remember hunting that down was a bitch, and I found like a shitty copy on YouTube. And then later on, I bought a DVD.
So luckily, it's a lot easier to get. Synapse Films has it. That's the Blu-ray copy I have, and they came out with a 4K copy now, which I'm sure that's a film I've thought about upgrading to 4K because colors alone would look fucking great.
I'm rocking some cheap DVD I found because I just wanted to own it, so I will definitely be upgrading to 4K.
Yeah, check out. I can send you the link if you want, but check out Synapse. I'll send you the link so you got it.
Sweet,
great pick. Suspiria, it had to go at some point. I don't think it'll be the only foreign movie taken. I'll say that, but it's certainly the most. It's certainly the most iconic 70s foreign horror film. I think at this point, I think it's just got a huge following. So that's a great pick, Connor.
It's usually how people get into Argento. It was actually my intro. To Argento. Josh had heard I hadn't seen it, so he was like, you guys know he adores that movie, and he's like, dude, you gotta watch. I was like, okay, and he showed me it, and that was my gateway into Argento, and I get it. That movie rocks. It's such a good movie.
Yeah, good shit. He's a gateway drug for sure, Argento. Okay, I got two in a row here. I mean, come on, I gotta take The Exorcist off the board. What are we doing? I don't know. It feels kind of boring, but I don't know. This movie fucking rules. It still holds up so well, and is one of the, I think it makes sense that as the host of Oscar Sunday, I take this movie because it's the most nominated horror movie of all time. I think it had 10 nominations total, and that's pretty rare, and it's cool that it was recognized the way it was at that time, and it's just gotten better. It's almost 50 years old, and it still creeps the shit out of me, and it has, to me, some of the most iconic performances inside of a horror movie. Everybody's just fucking batting 1,000%. And I'd say the first time I watched this one was something clicked like big time. I was a teenager, and definitely I was in my older teenage years. I didn't see this as early as most people. I was probably 18, 17 or 18, something like that. And when I saw it, something really, really clicked with me about this conversation between a doctor and of course the mother. It's like a legendary scene. I've brought this up many times, especially early on when I was on Filmgasm a lot. But it's basically like speaking about why I think horror is so cool and why I think it's so captivating and so important. And I love that it's wrapped up in this scene of dialogue between them two. And it's, I don't know what word for word, but it's about how the mom is like, well, how can she be, possessed? What's, like, what does this all mean? And the doctor's like, well, if someone believes something, truly believes something in their brain, in their mind, in their heart, it is true to them. And I've just always been enamored by that, whether it be someone who believes in a certain religion or believes that something's wrong with them or believes people are watching them, paranoia or whatever it is, that's such a fascinating idea to me. And The Exorcist kind of puts that on a pedestal and really fucks with it. And at the same time, it's just freaky and cool and one of those tentpole movies that, one of us had to pick it, I think.
Yeah, man, this is one of the, considered one of the greatest horror films of all time, a true game changer in what studios were allowed to do in a horror film, to show a little girl being possessed by the devil, and just how that would go down. It's still unnerving. It's one of those films that so many people were affected by, and as probably I would bet has caused more nightmares than probably any other film in history.
And that's a big part of how popular it was, like how the masses saw this movie. Yeah. And it had the same effect that Jaws had on people, like, oh, I don't want to go in the water for a while now. This was like, I don't want to fuck with the devil. Like, and people are already thinking that way. But when you see it on screen and you have, Ellen Burstyn and Max von Sydow and Lee J. Cobb, all these people, Jason Miller fucking killing it, it just gives it that extra oomph of authenticity. And The Exorcist, that's why it's lived on forever, is Linda Blair, all these people are fucking amazing in this movie. And so it feels real. It truly does.
Yeah. You've also got, the screenwriter adapting his own book, which is always great. A book
and you have William Friedkin. The guy just did French Connection and was like, nah, I'm going to do something a little weirder. Yeah.
Ah, what a great.
Yeah, this was a movie I remember being interested in as a kid because I'm not religious myself, but I was, raised Catholic.
I was raised like Christian, so this was very like fascinating to me.
Yeah, so that drew me in. I am still to this day I believe in the paranormal, so there's that aspect to it. And then again, hearing what I heard about this film, and this is probably an indication of like this has always been a part of my mindset when it comes to horror. But I went, this is supposed to be controversial for this reason. I gotta check it out. I've always had the mindset of that since I was a kid. If I heard something was controversial or fucked up, my brain went, I need to see it and see what everyone's talking about. This was one of those films. And look, the things that come out of that little girl's mouth, oh my god. Put a bar of soap in your mouth, young lady.
Yeah.
This movie, it's a damn near flawless film to me. How it sets you in, and even then purposely says maybe she's not possessed, even though you're seeing crazy, especially if you watch the unrated director's cut and you see some shit where you're like, what? There is no way she is. That's not sickness. Someone just crab walks the way she does in the fucking film at one point.
Yeah.
But when the possession stuff does start, and it's just like, oh boy, are they unrelenting scenes? I mean, when she's twisting her head and doing what she's doing with the crucifix, and it's just like, oh my god, these are scenes that are still hit.
Yeah,
damn near 40, over 40 years later, that still make you go, what the fuck am I watching?
Yeah.
Well, I was raised atheist and I still practice. But this movie, you know, it affects people who don't have faith, because it's just if the devil exists and he comes to earth and he inhabits the body of a little girl, that is what it's going to look like. And like you can feel that. You can feel some kind of wrongness about this movie, regardless of what, you know, you believe in. And that's powerful.
Well,
Truly.
I think what helps is the storyline of you have a priest questioning their faith.
Yes.
I think that is something that helps big time. So this film is, yes, obviously on the surface, it is about this little girl being possessed. Underneath that, it is about questioning your own faith and what you're willing to believe in. And you know, something that I think, because this film is so huge, that every possession film since has tried to essentially just be The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Which is why it's admittedly it's one of my more I just don't really care for the subgenre because of it. I have yet except for the occasional like good exorcism film, like there's just a lot of duds in the subgenre. But I think they forget a lot of the subtext part that this film has.
Well, it peaked, you know, and I mean, there is only so much you can do with person gets possessed, and you know, nothing's ever going to top The Exorcist. Like, why would you even try?
Yeah. No, I hear that for sure. But like, I don't know. I guess like one of the cool things about horror is like being able to admit that, like, for example, there's obviously a ton of slashers out there, right? Some of them hit, some of them don't. But there's something about like watching a slasher, I'm like, I don't really care. Like, because yeah, if I like it, cool. If I don't really like it, I'm still gonna have fun. And for me, with like exorcism movies, like I really like those exorcism scenes in the first Conjuring. I'm just like, I feel like home here. Like I don't know. It's just like I'm comfortable here. I like this. This is something I fell in love with horror. You know, and I like scenes like that. But I'm not gonna say that it's, you know, it's always good. But that's one of the cool things about horror is like even when it's not, you know, quote unquote good, it's like, yeah, but I had fun, you know. And I don't know.
It's like pizza. Like, even when it's not great, you know, it's edible.
Yeah, like I don't love Little Caesars, but I'll fucking eat that shit. I'll eat that shit all night, you know.
Hey, it's
I don't really
pizza.
Yeah, it's cheap pizza. Yeah, yeah, I mean I prefer, you know, yeah, some gourmet shit, you know, some fucking New York style. But that's all right. Not every night do we get to watch The Exorcist, you know.
Yeah. Not every pizza is going to be the greatest pizza you've ever had. Not every horror movie is going to be, you know, the epic masterpiece you've been waiting for. But there's usually something to take away from it.
Yeah, and Connor, you've always told me, because sometimes I'll kind of, you know, get on this like with other genres, this like oh, like this why isn't this as good? It's like, well, we need bad movies so that we can appreciate the good ones. You know, you need a little bit of whatever movies, some meh movies to like to appreciate what's good. So yeah, The Exorcist, yeah, had to come off the board, I think. So I'll do the same thing I did last time. I'll do one big one in The Exorcist, and I'll do one for me. This past couple weeks, I've been watching a lot of stuff I've never seen before. A lot of horror movies I haven't seen before. Specifically, I'm going to the kind of wacky 80s collection that's on Criterion at the moment. And they always do something around October. They'll put out a few collections, and I always find my way to it. You know, a couple years ago it was the 70s. This year it's 80s, and there's an 80s one, there's a vampire one. I'm like, yeah, those are both fun. You know, I'll check out some stuff. So I watched Next of Kin from 1982, which was great. I watched Brain Damage, which I've talked to both of you guys about. I really liked that movie. Thought it was fucking hilarious and just had some really creepy moments. And then I watched Slumber Party Massacre, which I like threw on, and I was like, yeah, we'll see. It ended up being a blast. I had an absolute blast with that movie. Thought it was so much fun. And then I watched a really fucked up movie from 1986 called Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. That really just like fucked me up and kept me up at night for sure. And but I liked it. I genuinely liked it, and I would definitely recommend it to people who do love the genre. And then, you know, I watched all those, and then I was like, oh wait, we're doing the 70s draft. I should watch a 70s movie, you know, just in case. Let's see what happens. So I went to the vampire section, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, I fucking, Near Dark is in there. I love that movie. Like, let me find something I haven't seen from the 70s. And I stumbled upon this French movie called Fascination. This one really, really got to me. I'm gonna fucking pick it here in this draft. I always like to pick a movie that I recently was blown away by in these drafts, because I think it's good to recommend movies that not many people have seen. This it's definitely a French movie. It's very very it's got a lot of nudity in it, a lot of like sexual scenes going on. Very very weird, very bizarre, very vampire of that era. But I won't really give away, but the ending is really cool, and I haven't really been able to talk to anybody about it. It's one of those movies where I'm just been bottling it up. I don't know anybody who's seen this movie, so I definitely recommend it to you guys. Both of you guys, I think y'all would enjoy it. It's pretty short. It's like an hour and 20 minutes, so you really get to the point quickly. But it's very different from what I've seen, and I've watched a lot of French movies, but I haven't watched a lot of French horror. And I liked the pace of it. I liked how it got to the point. And when it got to the point, it got fucking weird, and it got scary, got weird and dark. Some great kills in it, some great like kind of sexy / dark nasty scenes, and I just had a blast. So definitely am glad I dove in and watched this movie on a whim, and here I am drafting it. So that's kind of one of my recommendations for sure. 1979, Fascination, directed by Jean Rollin.
Adding it to my list right now.
You had me at sex and nudity.
Yeah.
I'm on board.
Yeah, and like pretty quick. It doesn't take long to be like, oh yeah, there's a nice set of boobs there. It doesn't take long.
I'm talking about French movies.
Yeah. Just I'm pretty used to that, watching the French movies. They don't shy away, that's for sure.
Well, you know how much I adore vampire movies, and
yeah. This is kind of one of your niches. Yeah,
I'm always on the lookout for good shit.
If you haven't, a slower paced one, if you haven't checked it out, Daughters of Darkness is a really good vampire movie.
I've heard that's like fantastic.
It is so good.
Adding it to the list.
Cool.
Of Darkness.
Hell yeah. Let's see. That's my two picks: Exorcist, Fascination. Connor, back to you. I believe. Yes. Yeah.
Well, my next pick, technically not a horror film. I mean, it is, but it's more it's a comedy.
I think I know where you're going with this.
But it's horror enough, and it's Young Frankenstein.
I wondered if you're going to do that. This is like one of your favorite 70s movies, period.
Yes, this is Mel Brooks' masterpiece. I love the producers. I love Blazing Saddles. I love Spaceballs. But Young Frankenstein is so perfect. It's hilarious. It's a lot of people consider it like the true sequel to 1931's Frankenstein, which is just great.
So awesome. Yeah.
It's got that same vibe, but with Mel Brooks, signature comedy and a committed performance from Gene Wilder as Dr. Frederick Frankenstein.
Isn't it Frankenstein? No, it's Frankenstein.
You also say Frederick. Anyway, this movie is perfection. It's so funny. It's a great, monster movie. Peter Boyle commits as the monster, or I guess the creature, as he's called in the movie. And it lives up. It was up for some Oscars. I think adapted screenplay.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it counts. It's horror adjacent, and I'm okay with that.
Horror comedies count. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I have no problem with this.
Good.
You're not.
I wouldn't, because even if you did, I would not back down.
You'd be like, well, I already picked it, so it's over.
I've already picked. No. Look, man, I'm with you. Like, I know so far my picks have been very much not horror comedies.
Yeah, not very funny. Yeah, not very. You're not getting a lot of laughs out of Chainsaw, Black Christmas, and Last House on the Left. Yeah,
not ha funny, but
ha.
But no, I'm always down for a good horror comedy, like especially ones that can mix so well. And I do agree with you in that, like, it's always toss up for me on when it comes to Mel Brooks' masterpiece between this film and Blazing Saddles. I edged this one out because I can say the jokes. Um,
Yeah. 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 Blazing Saddles hasn't aged the best. Yeah.
I I think it's aged fine. Because I get I get what he's doing with the jokes, but you just can't say a lot of them.
Yeah.
Nowadays.
Some people who haven't seen the movie like out of context are gonna be like, what did he just say? Yeah.
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 Granted, I do like the part when he's ding a ding a ding a ding. Cracks me up every time.
Christ.
But yeah, Young Frankenstein, Mel Brooks, just dear God, is he like from filming it in black and white and having the studio okay that when, as we've learned very recently with the Monsters, studios aren't cool with it. Rob Zombies been on record as why he didn't do Monsters Black Mirrors because studio wouldn't be okay with it.
I feel like, as we learned when we did House of a Thousand Corpses, they were just not on board with anything Rob Zombie wanted to do.
This is true. They're probably like, yeah, no, dude. um,
Yeah, we just like fucking with you. Yeah.
yeah.
Mel Brooks can do it, but Rob, don't you try. You get back in the box.
You try to direct a film that we're putting a lot of restrictions on. Um, but yeah, and the comedy from everyone, like obviously Gene Wilder, Martin Freeman crushes it.
Marty Feldman.
Marty Feldman, there you go. Sorry. Did I say Martin Freeman from fucking
Yes.
MCU?
He was not there.
It's been a long day for me.
That's awesome.
It happens.
I love
It
that.
happens.
But
Connor was
Marty
like,
Feldman as
Connor was like,
he-
not on my watch.
hey, look. Yeah, Marty Feldman as Igor or Igor, depending on how he wants to say it. It damn near steals the show from Gene Wilder. He is so fucking funny in this goddamn movie. And one of my favorite, I mean, I quote it to this day with the whole like, it could be worse. It could be raining.
Yeah.
Me, nothing beats, the howling in the background and like werewolf. And Igor just
Werewolf.
There, wolf. Their castle. Like,
I'm like, what happened to your hump? Well, what hump?
Yeah.
Oh, it's perfect. The Young Frankenstein is probably the most fun I've ever had on any of these shows. That episode that Austin and I did a few years ago was just me quoting the whole damn thing in character.
I was just laughing. I just laughed.
That was a blast. That was so much fun. It's the movie you can't help but just get lost
What
in.
did you get? Abnormal. You got an abnormal brain.
Let me out. Oh my God, let me out. I was joking. Don't you know a joke when you hear one?
Whatever you do, don't open the door. No matter how much I scream and protest, don't open the door.
I love when he just yells, "Mommy!"
Connor, I think anytime that like this is one of those movies, if you get a chance, you're like, I'm fucking taking it. I'm quoting that fucking movie.
Frankenstein is I will try to shove this in to any film conversation I'm having, regardless of how good or bad it fits.
I just read not that long ago. I have that book, that Pauline Kael book. This one right here, For Keeps. And she's pretty harsh. Not like harsh, like I give this movie a 1 out of 10, or like I fuck this movie. She just picks it apart. Just bah, 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 bah. She writes these long reviews, and some movies that I love, where I'm like, fuck, I didn't notice that. Like she's just thinking on a different level than I am about movies, because that's what she did for a living. But her review of Young Frankenstein is like, this is good. She like has nothing but cool things to say about it, and how amazing Gene Wilder is as a performer at that stage of his career. And it was cool because most of the reviews are pretty like, okay, like I didn't notice that, like the way she talks about like Clockwork Orange. I was like, damn, like I didn't think about it that way. And she didn't change the way I think about the movie, but I take it to heart. I'm like, that's a good opinion. With Young Frankenstein, it was just like, no, like the people are right. This is damn good.
Those kinds of reviews can be so like they're so much harsher. Like, for example, I'd rather have I can get over someone calling me an asshole, but if they're like picking apart all of my flaws, then that's gonna hurt.
You just start sweating. Yeah.
Like I don't know if I could do that. Like the way we do it is, we try to, well, not on Beyond the Bed. We're pretty fucking harsh over there. But on our other shows, we try to be a little, benefit of the doubt. But ouch. Well, cool that she liked Young Frankenstein. I get anyone who doesn't like Young Frankenstein. It's just a great movie.
Yeah. That's
so
kind of what that's what she was claiming, was like, the people are right on this one. Like, it's okay. Every now and again, the people have spoken.
Yeah.
I like how she's like apparently pitting herself against the people.
Yeah,
People are
definitely.
wrong.
Definitely. She's always like, well, what, like, really? Is this really what's popular right now? Is this really what people like? And I'm having a blast reading it, because it's the level of just the vocabulary she uses about talking about movies is like, holy fuck, man. Like, she's just clearly thinks about it all goddamn day, So I respect that about her. And it's a good book. It's like 1,000 pages of movie reviews. It's cool.
I feel the people can speak for themselves, but I guess
just the people. The people are usually wrong.
For some reason, my mind went to Happy Gilmore, and it's just like, the price is right. The price is wrong, bitch.
Yeah.
That's how I feel right now with this lady.
Bob Barker, baby. Yeah.
People
I think you've had enough. Great movie. Not a 70s horror movie, but that's all right. Happy Gilmore's great. Caleb, you have your last 2 picks in a row.
All right.
Yeah, this is intense now.
I don't, because I wrote down a lot of options. I kept my options open. I'm gonna go with one I watched a little bit more recently, a couple years ago, that I really fell in love with. Also Italian, came out towards the tail in the decade. Lucio Fulci film, Zombie.
Nice.
Okay.
This is quite. I heard about this movie all my life. This is someone that Josh had heard I hadn't seen, so he showed me, and boy, did I fall in love with this movie. I got the slowest eye implement I've ever witnessed in my life, but totally worth the payoff. I got a zombie fighting a shark, which I didn't know I needed in my life, but I got it, and I'm glad.
Yeah.
Just insane gore effects, and what's cool is that, like, watching this and how, having seen his Gates of Hell trilogy and the New York Ripper and stuff, you can kind of see the evolution of like this man's like style of directing and like how he wants his gore effects and stuff, and that idea of like the plot at times makes very little sense, but it's all about like just enjoy the ride, and I think that's what I love the most. Like, just enjoy the ride. You're going to get some really cool gore out of it. The zombies are pretty fucking good looking, in my opinion. And then I always just get a kick. I love watching these Italian films this period, and their insistence on dubbing every single actor, even if they're American, and dubbing them, and just having this weird moment where you're like, they sound so different from how they probably do sound, because hey, we need to make sure people think it's American, and it's like, well, no, you're not fooling me.
Not me.
Not me. Granted, I'm like decades, years removed, so I know, but I wonder if people were fooled back then. But yeah, Zombie. It's look, if you're trying to dip your toes into like Italian horror cinema, obviously, I'd say start with some Argento, and then I would say beyond that, look at people like Bava and Fulci and stuff like that. Those the top 3 people I would say get into and check out their stuff.
Hell yeah, good. I still haven't gone down the Fulci road, so I feel like this is an extra jolt to do so. Connor, didn't you watch some Fulci? Did y'all cover him?
Connor, don't you want to express?
Yeah. What's you're kind of quiet.
Well, I'd like to apologize ahead of time to Josh, who I know is going to listen to this and is not going to like what I have to say. So I did go down the Fulci road, and I didn't care for it. I didn't get it.
You got off on the first bus, or
no? I got lost in the woods with. I watched The Beyond, House by the Cemetery, City of the Living Dead, New York Ripper, Zombie, and all of them. I was just like, why? I just couldn't. I couldn't find it, and I know it's because he focuses mainly on special effects over narrative, and I just couldn't get on board with that. So sorry, not a Fulci fan.
Well. So this isn't something you would go back to, or
No, but I feel like you would probably see more in his work than I do.
yeah. I've always wanted to go down that road. Yeah, I'm less narrative, more about like what am I looking at, what's going to be fun, and or not so much fun, but like on the other end of it, like the dramatic end of it. Like I really like David Lynch and Terrence Malick, guys like that are just let things unfold as they may, and sometimes that can be boring, and I get that, but that's definitely my thing. And with horror, it's definitely like, what can we do makeup wise, effects wise, like what can we do with practicality? Of course, if the two are combined, that's ideal. If narrative and that's where you get the movie like The Thing. It's like, well, it looks fucking cool and weird. It's also got a great story. So I definitely need to go down the Fulci road. There's so much horror I still need to check out. So far, I've seen everything we've talked about so far. This is the first one.
Yeah, I had the exact opposite reaction, Connor. I saw when he's from this, I was like, I need more Fulci and more of this. And now I've seen like a shark fight a zombie. I've seen a chick puke her guts out. And all done practically. I still want to know how Fulci pulled that shit off. I've seen some shit in Europe Ripper that made me go, holy shit, is he actually killing someone right now? Like the practical effects are so insanely like good in that one. Yeah, I really like Fulci quite a bit.
Good. Was that your first pick, zombie?
Yes.
All right, you have one more. Beautiful.
God, I have so many options I wrote down. You know what? I'm gonna take a big one again. I'm gonna end it with a big one. I'm gonna end it with Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
And Alien.
Yeah, has to happen. Yeah.
God, what more can be said about this film, if I'm being honest? Obviously
it's pretty good. Yeah.
It's really good. And obviously there's that camp, right, of like Alien or Aliens. First off, I like both, okay? Both are awesome. I do give the slight edge for me to Alien. I do like the slow suspense shred horror feel more. And I just like how Ridley Scott's like, I want to make a haunted house film, but in space on a spaceship.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And everyone went, all right. The alien design, the HR Geiger design is just so fucking good. And obviously everyone else fell in love with it because we've had it last all these decades later. We're getting a new show next year, so Alien's about to have a comeback.
A show?
We're getting a show, and I believe Fede Alvarez is doing a movie on Hulu.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Noah Hawley, who did Fargo, he's doing the Alien show.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're about it. Next year, we're apparently going all in on Alien, which I'm sure Predator's success also helped.
So the show and the movie are going to be Hulu is.
I think the show is FX, so it will end up on Hulu.
That makes sense because Fargo's FX. Okay, that makes sense.
And I believe the movie is going to be a Hulu original.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, did you guys watch Legion, that TV show?
No.
I've heard of it. I saw the previews. I never got around to watching it.
It kind of failed because it got canceled or whatever. But like that first season was really fucking cool and had me really jazzed. Like it's hardcore sci-fi, had some horror stuff going on. So, and that was written by Noah Hawley. And then he did that sci-fi movie, Lucy in the Sky. That was more of like a dramatic sci-fi movie. That one wasn't very good, but I do think he like has it in him to like properly make something that's like canon for Alien that would be cool. So that's exciting, interesting. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, well, apparently, hopefully next year we get a big revival of this, like we got with Predator this year with Prey.
Prey was fucking sick. Yeah,
Prey was so good. But yeah, God, this is like to me one of my favorite Ridley Scott films. This first Alien, it's so good, and his use of tread, like, oh God, the fucking vent scene when she's like, "It's right there, it's moving, and then like he does it, and that thing just fucking pops up next to him, and you're like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah.
It's yeah, and then obviously we got Sigourney Weaver, being a complete fucking badass, even more so obviously in Aliens, but the beginning
Yeah.
for her just being a badass, Alien is fucking awesome.
Gold, like absolute gold. It like has an argument for being the best movie, like that and Jaws being like the two best movies from this decade, as far as like a horror movie goes. So I was kind of shocked it hadn't been picked yet. So I was gonna choose it if you didn't, or one of you guys didn't here in the last round, because it's just quintessential. It's just such a iconic movie. And Connor, when did we do this? So I feel like that was a long ass time ago.
Yeah, this was this was about 2 years ago, maybe 3.
Yeah, let's bring that on here.
Okay.
Feels like we need to do that on here, and maybe I don't know. We'll bring Caleb on. We'll do some shit with it because I don't know. I feel like it's one of those that deserves like its own 2 hours. It just does.
It does. Over the older I get, the more I do, the less I find myself choosing between two things. I'm more of I'm going to take both. And that's what I've been doing. And so I'm doing that with Alien finally. I want Alien. I want Aliens. I'm no longer choosing. I take them both. They're both awesome, great movies.
The thing about like you can compare stuff all day and like that's fun or whatever, like debating. But when it's two different directors, right? Like two very different people, and it's two very different philosophies and movies. Like one is a horror sci-fi movie, like through and through, and the other one's is an action movie. Like it's an action 1986. Like they're very different in their tone and what they're trying to accomplish. Love them both. Both damn near perfect movies. So I'm with you, Connor. It's like, why do we always have to do that? Why do people always have to be like the Beatles or the Stones? It's like they're both good. Like,
life is a buffet, and I am not limiting myself to one plate.
Yeah,
people do it with like everything. Like it's like on the video game side of things, all the people are like PlayStation or Xbox. I'm like, you can love both. I'm always so people like 9 times out of 10, I like both. I just usually have a preference. It's probably the best way I put it is like I have a preference. Like I love both Aliens. My preference is the first one. I'll go with that one often. Yeah. But I still will absolutely be like, let me put on, especially when it comes to James Cameron and how I've made it known I like everything pre-Titanic anyway. I'll definitely be like, yeah, let me watch this version of Cameron again and watch some Aliens because I fucking love Aliens.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. I'm glad. I'm glad. I do think that's part of like maturing is like realizing things can coexist, whether it be in movies, music, sports, whatever, pop culture stuff. We always have to debate. That probably stems from the way our society is built. Just having two political parties. It's always this against that, this against that, this against that. Right. And that's just kind of like how we're wired. But you are allowed to unlearn that and live your own life. So
thinking of sci-fi, Star Wars, Star Trek, guess what? I watch both.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Love it. Love Alien getting off the board. That's good. Good. It deserves it. Connor, your last pick.
First off, I just want to say I cannot believe nobody's picked Dawn of the Dead.
I was thinking that about that and Alien. I was like, man, this is crazy. This is happening.
I, however, am not choosing Dawn of the Dead. I just find it funny that it's still here.
Good stuff from this decade. I was eyeing that one too.
You picked Zombie over Dawn of the Dead. You picked. That's weird to me. Like you just had a Dawn of the Dead experience. Like what?
I did in 3D.
In 3D, bitch. Yeah. I think part of what Caleb was doing was trying to kind of recommend Fulci to people, and that's part of the draft. Part of the draft is trying to win and get as many movies that are good as you can. But I do think picking a Fulci movie is cool because it's I don't think a lot of Oscar Sunday listeners are super familiar with Fulci, so I respect it, but I also understand Connor's concern.
That is a very interesting backhanded point you just made. I like that.
I'm okay with it. I'll let this one pass.
I am torn between two films here, and I, all right, just because I find more to be creeped out by it, I'm gonna go with The Wicker Man.
Yeah, I figured.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was wondering where that was with you, Connor. You love this movie.
Yeah. I almost picked Carrie because I love Carrie. We're gonna talk about Carrie, but The Wicker Man gets under my skin. Just the idea of, you know, what people believe in can be so terrifying to everybody but them is really creepy. Being trapped on an island full of people who are happy to kill you if it means the crops are going to grow a little bit more this year. That's horrifying. And just the way that movie unfolds, it's, you know, it's one story that is completely turned on its head about like 20 minutes before the end, and then it turns into something completely different, and you're just horrified the whole time. It's so brilliant. And it ends with, you know, just a freaky, like, are you kidding me moment. Like, we don't get a happy ending. We get a human sacrifice, and then, you know, everyone goes home. It's like, what the fuck was that? So yeah, The Wicker Man is one of the greatest British horror films of all time, and a fantastic, like, cult movie.
Yeah, kind of like genre defining cult movie. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I was wondering. I know you have like a serious fondness of this movie. And when I remember a couple days after we saw Midsommar, after we watched it, you were like, "Rip off!"
I hold true to that. When I was in Europe, I was talking to some guys about movies, and they brought up Midsommar, and I'm like, "Well, have you seen The Wicker Man?" I'm like the missionary of that movie. Anytime somebody brings up Midsommar, I'm like, "Well, I got something for you."
You're becoming the crazy old guy. You know,
you sound like the crazy old guy. Like somebody from the kids, like Midsommar so crazy. Like, have you seen The Wicker Man?
Yeah, I'll own that. Yeah, I'm giving very unsolicited advice on this, but it needs to be told. It needs to be said.
That's fucking brilliant. I love that. No, it's a in its own right. It's a fantastic movie, and yeah, this is what's so good about this decade is we're leaving stuff on the board that's incredible, you know. And I'm having a hard time here. You said you almost picked Carrie. Man, I thought about that one, but it's like, yeah, we're also going to talk about it a lot here. Like, people don't need to know about Carrie. Like, it's so iconic, but I also love it. It's like a 9 out of 10 movie for me. I really, really enjoy it. I also enjoy that other Brian De Palma film from '72, Sisters. I love that movie. But I don't know. I think I'm just going to go with my gut here. I'm going to take a movie that I don't know if I've talked to either of you about, 1976. So same year as Carrie and the Omen. I love 1976 as a movie year, and it's God Told Me To, written and directed by Larry Cohen. Boy, talk about up my alley. It's loosely, it's about a detective in New York who starts kind of like investigating these murders that happen, and all of the killers say that they claim that God spoke to them, like to do so, and you have this really intense kind of ride with this detective, and he's having one of those like existential, like, what the fuck's going on? Like, what is God? Like, what does it mean? I think it's kind of a cool double feature with The Exorcist, where it's kind of dealing with that, that kind of weird space of questioning everything, what's really going on, and why we're here, while all at the same time dealing with death and like Satan, So yeah, really, really like it. I think it's a movie I think I watched it on Criterion a couple years ago. I can't really remember, most likely, but I revisited it again like a year later, and I plan on watching it again sometime soon. It's one of those that's just kind of stayed in my conscience, and I really enjoy it. It's very 70s, like very gritty, very low budget, and definitely one I want to recommend to people. It's got some cool shit going on. It has a really weird, wacky ending that for some people might not deliver, but for me, it was it was all about the ride. You know, it was all about the journey getting there. So yeah, really like this movie. God told me to. Left some great stuff on the board, but that's all right. You know, sometimes you're just trying to have fun. You know, and I think we did. I think we had a good time here.
The 70s is like the first decade where we were allowed to make God the bad guy.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's cool. I love these movies that finally get to toy with the bizarre and inherent creepiness of religion and really turning it on its head in a way we've never done before in film. And you've got so many films here that use that as their template. And yeah, I remember you telling me about God Told Me To, and it sounded very intriguing, and I really wanted to check that out.
yeah. It's cool. Definitely up my alley. Yeah,
I definitely want to check it out because I like Larry Cohen a lot. That
yeah.
dude was one of the great, like one of the best independent fucking filmmakers that ever lived. I checked out. I've seen Q the Winged Serpent, which is just batshit insane. I know I'm watching. I can't remember if he did this stuff or not.
I don't know.
It,
The other one I'm familiar with is he wrote It's Alive. The
very
1974. Yeah.
yeah, it's a lie. That was a whole thing. That became a trilogy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think It Lives Again or some shit like that. Yeah, it's the next
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
So he did that guy did a whole lot of cool shit.
Yeah, he has so many credits to his name. Like the guy just wouldn't stop working.
Oh yeah, all the way to his death. Um, this is one that's been on my radar. I've heard a lot about it, and I definitely want to check it out one day. I've really come to around to Larry Cohen. Actually, thanks to Joe Bob Briggs, he's shown a bunch of his stuff on there on his show.
That's cool. I like that. Yeah, good shit. Well, yeah, this is a lot of fun, guys. I think we picked a lot of really big, massive movies and also some cool random stuff. So, Caleb, you ended up with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974, Black Christmas, 1974, The Last House on the Left, 1972, Zombie, 1979, and Alien, 1979. So you got some early stuff there, and then some couple of 1979. So good stuff. That's a fantastic list of movies. Definitely describes you as a fan. Connor, you got Jaws, 1975, The Omen, 1976, Suspiria, 1977, Young Frankenstein, 1974, and The Wicker Man, 1973. You never overlapped on years. You got 73, 74, 75, 76, and 77 all in a row. I like that. Didn't really realize that till now. I went with Halloween, 1978, The Brood, 1979, The Exorcist, 1973, Fascination, 1979, and God Told Me To, 1976. It's a good group of movies, my guys. What's the one? If we take Dawn of the Dead away, what's like another movie we left on the board that's like, whoa, the holy shit.
Caleb, I'm surprised.
And Carrie, and take Carrie out of the picture too.
Okay, Caleb, I'm really surprised you didn't grab The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah,
I had it written down. I was debating that one because I really like The Hills Have Eyes. That is one where I think the only reason I didn't pick it is because as much as I love the Craven original, I saw the remake first, and that's a case where I actually do slightly prefer the remake. That's a rare case where I slightly prefer it over the original.
Interesting.
Slightly, but just only because the remake they went so much harder with like the gore and shit like that, and it's like the gore hounded me so satiated watching the remake. So yeah, no, I had it written down. I had Hills of Ice written down. I had Cronenberg written down. I had Rabbit and Shivers.
Yeah.
Amityville Horror, the original.
Yeah.
I know Connor hates this film, but the first Phantasm is such a. I have so much fun with this movie. What else? Oh, a little one called Tourist Trap. If you guys haven't heard of it, it is this crazy little film where like it has a young Tanya Roberts before she was even in a Bond film. Her and her friends are out, taking a road trip, and they find this little old like shop that has weird shit going on. I believe it's Chuck Connors. They run into him, and this is like him after he's in all his Western TV shows and stuff. And they are getting killed off by this like killer, and I don't want to reveal too much of the little twists at the end, but it's a fun little like ride of a film.
Cool.
Hell yeah.
I nearly went. I considered A Clockwork Orange, but I'm
Ah,
so torn on what genre that film is.
that's like the coolest part about it, right? Is that it's hard to
Yeah.
like put in a box.
I would accept horror for that one.
I would too. I would too.
Yeah,
If Young Frankenstein can count, I think Clockwork Orange can count. Yeah,
yeah, fair enough.
I would have no problem with that. I thought one of you guys would take. I don't know if I haven't seen it. It's been on my list for years. The Japanese film House from 1977. I thought one of you guys would take that. I don't know if y'all are fans of it or not.
I haven't seen that either. I've been wanting to though.
I haven't had a chance to see it yet, too.
Okay, there you go.
That's
There you
why
go.
I do want to see it though. It's like right up my alley.
Yeah, it definitely. Yeah, it definitely has like an acclaim to it that I want to check it out. And it's labeled like horror comedy, and I'm like, all right, I need to see that. Let's see. There's a couple others I thought about for you guys that I was a little surprised. Y'all aren't really into Salem's Lot, right? That's not really y'all's thing. No, 1979.
I've seen that movie once. It's been so long.
Oh, okay. Here's the one I was thinking. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I thought one of y'all might take that.
I am way more partial to the 1950s version.
Okay.
I thought the 70s one had its moments, but I thought it was a little slow.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think that's all I really got. I didn't, there's a few random ones. Definitely Rabid and Shivers are a couple of Cronenbergs that I really responded to, but I wanted just to pick one.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Theater of Blood, 1973?
I have not.
No, but I like the title.
That's isn't that what's his name? Fucking what can I? Isn't that Vincent Price?
It might be.
I might be thinking of something else. I'm pretty sure that's Vincent Price. I think. I might be a different. Yeah.
It is Vincent Price. Yes.
Okay, and it's 70s, right?
73.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I know you guys are into that, dude.
Yeah, I gotta check that out. One I did want to shout out. If we had 6 picks, I might have grabbed this. Is Duel from 1971. That is such a perfect road movie. It's Spielberg's debut. It's a TV movie written by Richard Matheson, and it's just a guy being chased by a pissed off trucker for an hour and 20. But it's so tense. It's so thrilling. It's great. You never see the trucker's face. It could be the devil. It could be a ghost truck. You never know. But it's so good.
I love that. Yeah. Good. Okay. I like that. That's a good recommendation.
There's something to be said about not showing the trucker in the movie where the trucker chases you down.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Troy Ride. That all you heard was Ted Levine going, "Candy cane," and it works.
Oh man, that's fantastic. Yeah, what's obviously the 80s, but like we should do this again for a different decade at some point. This is awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I can't fathom doing this for the 80s, dear God.
Yeah, it's just so much more. Just
I can't think of any 80s like Oscar nominated horror films that we could like use as a launch pad.
Poltergeist.
We already did already.
We already did it. We'll have to wait like another 5 years and be like, yeah, let's do it again. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. The 70s had some of those hitters, The Exorcist and, of course, Carrie and Jaws, The Omen, movies that did well and got Oscar nominations. Even like the 60s, we could go off of Rosemary's Baby or something, but we already did that too. So
we'll figure it out. We'll find something. We'll figure it out.
Well, here's my thing. We don't have to do it on this show. We could always go to FILMGAZM and do whatever the fuck we want.
We've got a whole nother show that makes like we have. Yeah, we don't even need a reason for that one. All right. Yeah. Good point.
No, we don't. You and I used to do like fucking episodes where we're like, let's just do our top 10 of the 80s or of the 70s.
Yeah.
With no movie as the base. I liked that.
Those were fun.
Because like right now, I'm like, the episode could be over. We just did a great draft. but oh yeah, we also have this Carrie stuff to talk about. So my question would be for both of you before we get into our awards for Carrie and dive into like why this movie's so good. I think listeners might be like, well, none of y'all fucking picked it. For me, I don't know about you guys. For me, it was because I knew we were going to talk about it. I love this movie. I really do. Again, 9 out of 10, like Fantastic movie. Great performances. We talked about it at the top of the show. We have respect for this. If we were doing a different movie, say we're doing The Omen, would you guys have picked Carrie?
No.
No. Oh, interesting. Okay. I
still would have picked The Omen. I love Carrie too, but my picks are way more personal to me. They're movies that scared me, movies that have stayed with me, movies that I continue to go back to. And that's not to say I don't go back to Carrie. But Jaws is Jaws, The Omen is The Omen, The Wicker Man is The Wicker Man, Young Frankenstein is Young Frankenstein, and Suspiria is Suspiria. Need I say more?
Yeah, and you like all of those more than Carrie.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. All right, Caleb.
You know what? I'm probably gonna have to call and say no. Don't get me wrong. I'm like you guys. I love this movie. Carrie is great, but I did the same thing. Colin did a very good chunk of my picks. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Black Christmas, and Alien have been with me for years since I was a kid. So I was, those have resonated with me for much longer. Last House, I saw it later, but it's Wes Craven, who again, very influential filmmaker, someone I've adored, and I definitely shed a couple of tears when I heard he passed away. So the director I'm very familiar with, and Zombie was probably the closest I got to picking something I saw a little bit later in life, but it just had a good enough impact on me. So probably just because of I did the same thing with a lot of these were personal in various degrees, whereas I'm not saying Carrie isn't I don't love it or anything. It's just I don't have that personal part to it, I guess is the best way to say it.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I definitely get where you guys are coming from. And I might have, I don't know. It's hard to know until it actually happens, right? But I do think it's as good as a lot of the stuff we picked. It's as worth the conversation. That's why we picked it for the episode. Yeah. I also think probably the coolest part about it is the perspective it takes, is that it takes from a young girl. There's just not a lot of movies at this time that would go that route. And Sissy Spacek, what she had done before this, she's obviously super young, but she this is a ballsy decision to make her the lead in this movie. And it worked so well and has become so iconic. Her, without even talking, she really puts in an awesome performance. And what it's worth, I believe she totally deserved an Oscar nomination. She was that good in this movie. And I do like that it's kind of a female based movie. Cause just being who I am, being a male, I definitely growing up responded more to, male dominated movies as far as the lead role, whatever you relate to. But Carrie, it's just really cool that it's kind of opposite of what you're used to with a lot of old horror movies. And I like that about it.
Well, I found it very interesting that Stephen King didn't really believe in this at first.
Yeah.
He tossed his manuscript, and it was his wife, Tabitha, who took it out of the trash and told him, you need to finish this. This is important. People are going to respond to this.
Cool. And that's cool.
It started his whole career. So
yeah,
he had Carrie to thank for so many incredible stories.
Yeah. And sorry. And Sissy Spacek actually also works because, and this is not an insult to her looks or anything, but she fits the homely description that Carrie is described in the book.
Yeah.
I think in the book she's actually Stephen King kind of describes her as even more of a social and looks alone. So they did still do some stuff for the movie, but she fits the description more, which is one of the things. I won't get into it too much here because I don't want to talk about the film too much. But it's one of the things I didn't, one of the major things that didn't work in the remake was that Chloe Grace Moretz doesn't. She looks I'm not. It sounds weird, but she doesn't look like how she's described in the books.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, Chloe Grace has a popular girl look to her, like a cheerleader or whatever. Athlete.
I would never buy that she's a bullied outcast. I just wouldn't buy that.
It's that Hollywood thing of what is it? Take the glasses off and then they're sexy. It's okay, Hollywood, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I totally agree. Like it's just like the right timing for Sissy. I think I don't know. I'm not 100%, but I know she did Badlands, Terrence Malick movie from 1973. She was in that movie. I think after that, I think this is like her second or third role ever as Carrie, and that is just like holy fucking shit for this to be one of the first things you do as a performer. They just obviously completely changed her career, and now she's a goddamn legend. You know, she kept going on through each decade. She kind of learned more and like hired her IQ and all the way to something like a movie that we covered on this show a long time ago, In the Bedroom, like that kind of a dramatic performance. I mean, she's just fucking lights out, you know, and I've grown to really appreciate her and what she's brought to the screen over the years, and it really starts with Badlands and Carrie.
Yeah, and then 4 years later, she wins her Oscar for Coal Miner's Daughter.
Yeah,
So
I still haven't fucking seen that movie. Shame on me.
I may have bought it. I don't remember. I own so many movies now. I can't recall if I bought that or
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It's like, yeah, I might have bought that for one of the shows or something, but she's also in one of my favorite '90s movies, JFK.
not. Yeah, she is.
That's why I have an app that keeps track of everything I purchase. I just scan the barcode.
Oh, that's cool.
I do too. I just don't want to look at it right now.
It's fucking great.
Yeah.
I love that. I put them all
that.
down. I put them in I have a list on Letterboxd that's just called like my collection or something.
Yeah.
And I just add them as I go. So they're all there. But yeah, sometimes I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like fucking scrolling through all those.
Technically speaking, I am at work right now.
Do not disturb.
Every time I look at it is when I'm like buying a movie, I'm like, wait, do I own this?
Yeah.
Sometimes like
every time I don't look, I buy a double.
yeah. Now I mean sometimes I personally buy doubles. Like I actually just on the Arrows so I just picked up their 4K of Pitch Black because it was the 4K. I had a lot more motivation. Like fuck yeah, I like this movie enough. So sometimes I'll do it on purpose, but it's because I'm upgrading a movie I want to upgrade.
Yeah, I totally understand that. You want to get the best edition you can. With Carrie, I fucking thought it was on a streaming service, and then I was like, I looked and I was like, oh, it's not. And I was like, oh, Connor's got it on his fucking Vudu, yeah, for sure. Like it's fucking Connor. So I got in my room, I got in my bed. I was like, I'm gonna sit down, turn the lights off, and fucking watch this movie. Really comfortable. I got it on Vudu, and lo and behold, Connor does not have it on Vudu. So I was like, God damn it. And I own it. So I was like, but now I got to like go out to my living room and fucking sit out there. And I was just comfortable. I'm being a fucking bitch, but like I was comfortable. And then I had to go out there. So I own this movie. I assume you guys both do too. It is not on a streaming service right now, except for like AMC Plus or something like that, which sucks because I feel like around this time of year, this should be like on fucking Netflix or Prime or something.
I feel like I don't know why I'm compelled to apologize for not having it on Vudu. Like I don't have to apologize for that, but I feel like I should.
You have like 800 movies on there. I just assumed it was there. I mean, yeah.
Do you feel need to apologize because you don't have Carrie, but you got fucking Black Christmas 2019 on there?
A code is a code. If I find Carrie, I will put it in there.
Shots fired.
I got that for us. We're gonna need that later.
I don't remind me.
That movie.
Now neither of us have to pay for it, Caleb.
The Black Christmas 2019. We didn't really talk about it. It's like comically bad. It's like funny how bad it is. I watched it and I laughed. I was like, this is actually kind of fun because it's just so stupid. So I don't know. I feel like that'd be a fun episode.
I haven't watched it yet because I know I'm gonna fucking hate it and I'm gonna watch it one time. So
it's terrible. It's terrible.
Oh, it's bad. I mean, Connor, I'm sure you've seen the review. I despise the movie.
I've read that many times. That is, you hate fuck that movie, man. Like really.
It's a joke. Yeah, it's a joke of a movie. I laughed a lot because it's like, yeah, I mean, I love that 70s one and Jesus H.
Say what you will about the first time they remade it. At least they were actually remaking it. They just added some unnecessary shit, but at least it was a fucking Black Christmas movie.
Yeah, this newest one was like, what? What am I? This is like just a knockoff of so many different horror movies. Like they're like trying to be Black Christmas, but also like trying to be Scream. You know, just like it's just a fucking shit show of a movie. Yeah, it's terrible. It's great. So you guys both own Carrie. What version do y'all have? Y'all have Blu-ray? What do you got? What do y'all got?
I have the standard like edition Blu-ray. If Shout or Arrow releases some epic version, I'm sure I'll upgrade. But currently just working with the standard issue.
Nice.
On that note, I watched Josh's Blu-ray of it because he has a British port from Arrow. Because I'm holding out because nice segue here. Thank you, Connor. Shout is doing a 4K for Christmas.
Ooh, Merry Christmas.
Yep, so I'm picking up that 4K in December.
That's fantastic. I have it on like DVD. I've owned it for quite some time, just like a normal. I don't come across money to buy movies anymore. It's really sad. It's like one of the saddest things because I'll see stuff from Arrow or Criterion or whatever, and I'm just like, I can't get this, but it looks cool. it's fucking demoralizing. I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta like fucking buy food for my kid, instead of this cool movie. That's just my life now. It's okay. Carrie's great. I'm excited to talk about it. Getting some awards with you guys. We have of course, the Tarantino for the best quote of the movie. We have the Ennio Morricone for the best music moment, which is cool because it's got a good score and also has a cool soundtrack. So I like that there's an array of choices there. The Philip Seymour Hoffman Award for the best performance of the movie. And then finally, the Roger Deakins Award for the best scene of the movie. So, Caleb, we'll start with you. It's your Tarantino.
All right. Quick sign for us, mine. When you said the money thing with movies, I don't know why I jumped to the Joe Coy joke about him and his kid, and if his kid messes up, they can't buy anything. He's like, dude, why you have to mess up? I want it too.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up.
I don't know, my brain just jumped to that because I always laugh at that joke. Like, yeah, I would be that parent one day. Like, why'd you fuck up? I want it too.
Yeah, yes, yeah, exactly. That's not a toy for you. It's for me as well.
All right. On that, my current Tarantino. So, at first I instinctively wrote the line we all know, he's going to laugh at you. They all laugh at you. They're all going to laugh at you. I wrote that down, but I'm going to go with something outside the box purposely. And it's only because this character is such a bitch and you hate her so goddamn much that when the gym teacher tells her to spit out her gum,
yeah.
And she's like, where do you want me to spit it out at? Snooty fucking and the gym teacher's response made me so happy and laugh. And she just looks at him and goes, you can choke on it for all I care. Get it out of your mouth. And I'm like, you fucking go. Yes. You can say shit like that.
I love that when you said this character is such a bitch and we hate them so much, we don't immediately know who you're talking about. Like there's options in this movie.
There's a few bitches. But Chris is like the bitch in this movie. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Her and fucking Billy Nolan. Ugh.
She does not deserve 70s Travolta.
He's a piece of shit in this movie too.
He is too. But I feel like he was like, Carrie's kind of cute, and Chris is like, shut up.
I love that. I love when he's like, that Carrie White's pretty fucking
He's
cute.
just an idiot trying to get some. He doesn't know what's going on.
God, like one of
being called a dumb shit.
Yeah, the scene when he's like, well, let's fuck, and she's like, no. He's just gets angry. He's just like, ugh, my night's over. I always find that to be so funny, and then that leads into like the Billy just makes me fucking laugh so hard.
Look, how she's able to talk and do what she's doing,
yeah, makes no sense.
She's clearly not very good at it if she's talking her way through it, frankly.
Yeah, I won't spoil for anyone who has yet to see Carrie, but you're going to be, as any guy and any female, anyone who's had to give or receive this thing. If you're talking through it and you're the one giving, we got to talk about how this goes.
Yeah.
She's like constantly, she's clearly not very good if she's able to talk.
Yeah, no. And like clearly say Billy like 9 fucking times.
And start describing how much she hates Carrie.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
I love Billy's response. He's like, who?
Yeah, it's such a funny scene. This movie fucking cracks me up. Like the first hour, there's like a few moments where I'm like dying laughing until it gets like really dark, which is like one of my favorite things about it. It's almost like a John Hughes movie at times for a minute. So you're like, am I watching the fucking Breakfast Club? And then no, I'm not. Yeah.
well, look how a lot of the home video release covers reference that, where it's like it shows 2 pictures of Carrie, and the first one's like her being, clean, and the next picture is always like the blood, and it's like it's almost like here's your John Hughes movie, and then here's what you're actually getting.
Yeah, here's your Brian De Palma fucked up shit. Yeah.
I would have totally asked Carrie to prom. And then when I found out she had psychic powers, we would have had such cool adventures. Because that's awesome. Why would you not want your girlfriend to have psychic powers?
Yeah.
I mean, don't have arguments with her. Don't ever get in a fight.
Yeah.
I feel like Carrie is low maintenance. Like there's not gonna be a lot of arguments there.
Just God forbid you ever break up with her. Yeah.
Just don't don't threaten her with a prayer closet or dump blood on her at prom, and you're gonna be fine.
Yeah, those are pretty easy things to avoid. Yeah.
Some would think.
So yeah.
Happens to her in this movie quite a lot.
Yeah. Like that's like the movie. Yeah, it's those things. Connor, what's your Tarantino?
Mine comes from a great exchange. It's when Carrie's trying to convince her mom to let her go to prom. Mom's just like, no, Satan. And he eventually she's just like, the powers manifest, and she just decides like, I'm doing this and you can deal with this. And she says, I'm going, mama. You can't stop me. And I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's the first glimpse of like freedom that Carrie, like freedom and power that Carrie has in the movie. And it's very foreboding because you're like, this is not going to end well. Mom now thinks you're a witch. And yeah, I love finally, her standing up for herself and being like, this is happening, so deal with it.
Yes. Yeah. It's invigorating until it's not. Yeah. Like foreboding is a good word.
Yes. So that's what I went with.
All right. That's a really good scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The movie just really kicks into high gear, like around that point. And like that last 30 minutes is just fucking perfect. I also chose a bit of dialogue. Like it's after that. It's when she goes home. And people are dead, right? A fucking car has exploded and killed like the 2 biggest pieces of shit in the whole movie. I'm sure we'll talk about the prom scene, so I'll leave the rest of that. But when Carrie goes home, she's like, "It was bad, Mama. They laughed at me. Hold me, Mama. Please hold me." And then the mom responds, "I should have killed myself when he put it in me. After the first time before we were married, Ralph promised never again. He promised, and I believed him. But sin never dies. Sin never dies. At first, it was all right. We lived sinlessly. We slept in the same bed, but we never did it. And then that night, I saw him looking down at me that way. We got down on our knees to pray for strength. I smelled the whiskey on his breath. Then he took me. He took me with the stink of his filthy roadhouse whiskey on his breath, and I liked it. I liked it. With all that dirty touching of his hands all over me, I should have given you to God when you were born, but I was weak and backsliding. And now the devil has come home. We will pray." And Carrie says, "Yes." And then Margaret says the famous words of, "We'll pray, we'll pray, we'll pray for the last time, we'll pray." And then the fucking knife comes out. It's just, oh God, if you don't love that, if you're a horror fan, you don't love that scene, just how fucking like well executed it is. And then of course what happens afterwards, it's just fucking incredible stuff. Like Brian De Palma on top of his game there.
Yeah. So no hug.
No. Yeah. No thanks. Yeah.
This is probably the harshest way to ever tell a kid you don't want them. to start off by saying I should have killed myself the first time he put it in. First off, ew, I don't want to hear about when dad put it in you, mom.
Yeah, straight up.
Also, like, oh wow, so you didn't want me. That's cool. That's how we're starting this conversation. That's the road we're going down right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm like she's like 17 years old and she's hearing this before like she's about to get stabbed. It's just like god, it's such a fucking depraved scene.
I choose to believe that Carrie's dad is Jack Torrance, and that's why she has the shine.
Yeah, and then of course 4 years later we get Stanley Kubrick's adaptation and yeah, good god.
Yeah. It comes about due to, great trauma and abuse. So there it is. But yeah, what a twisted, evil character Margaret White is. Just
Piper Laurie, dude.
Oh,
Jesus.
using God as a weapon. It's so freaky. I just feel so like every time I watch this, I just feel fucking horrible for Carrie. Like, before I heard about this movie, I always thought Carrie was the bad guy.
Yeah. That's definitely what you're like. That's one of the cool things about it until you see it. It's like if you know, until you really see Carrie, you're like, no, Carrie's fucking awesome. Like,
Yeah,
you're pulling for her.
Yeah. She's pushed to that moment.
Mm-hmm.
You see it. You see all the abuse she deals with at home, the abuse she deals with at school, and so when you get to that scene, it's kind of, even as you as the audience, it's cathartic. You're like, yeah, they had it coming. Minus like Miss Collins, I always feel bad in that one, but
hell,
that's like
hath no fury.
Yeah, that's kind of like I don't know. There's something beautiful about, and I think like Miss Collins, she's like the sacrifice of like, all right, is it worth it to get rid of all these fucking like straight up heathens that like should go to hell? Is it worth it to also sacrifice like someone who reached their hand out and was good? And it's like the answer is yes. Like it's worth it to get rid of all these pieces of shit that were like totally picking on her and bullying her the whole movie. And God knows, there's obviously other stuff that you don't see in between the lines with the story in the movie. But like, I don't know. I love Miss Collins, but like, it's worth it to get rid of all of those bastards along if she has to go too.
When it makes sense because you watch the scene, all Carrie sees is her pushing Sue out of the prom, and then the bucket thing happens. So in her mind, she's saying it's like, okay, she helped with this. Like that's what she saw.
Yes, yeah, the hallucinating, yeah.
In that moment, she's like, it was all a trick. The prom invite, everybody was in on it. All of these fuckers hate me, so I might as well be the monster they think I am.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna talk about this.
Yeah, this is
like soon. So
yeah.
So Caleb, what's your? It's so hard not to. Like it is the movie. Really what's your Ennio Morricone award?
This was a hard one. So there's a lot of good moments I wanted to pick.
Yeah.
But because of a certain thing we keep hitting at, I left out anything from that particular scene, and I went with because this was, I believe, if my history is correct, the first instance of a fake out ending. Used the way it was. So I went with the music moment towards the end of the film when you see Snoop visiting the house where the house was destruction, but also kind of became the gravesite for Carrie. And you think, oh, she's being nice, she's laying the flowers down, everything's good, and then that hand and the music's swelling, right? It's just fucking all nice and sweet, and you get lulled in, and the next thing you know, that hand just shoots out, and the music. It's not like the stupid jump scare music we get so much now. The music literally just changes to like more intense and scary, and you're like, oh shit, oh god, no, and then she wakes up.
Yeah,
like, what the hell? So yeah, I love that music moment. It still works. Again, I know some people are like, oh, I see it coming. Again, in the context of film history, this was one of the first instances, if not the first instance of it being used. And kind of talking about what we're talking about with Carrie went after everyone. It also leaves the creepy indication that she's not done with Sue either. It's
correct.
Depending on how you want to take that scene.
Well, I mean, we don't know how strong her powers were. Maybe they protected her. Maybe she like switched bodies or some shit. Yeah, I think Carrie's still out there.
Yeah, I chose the same thing for my Ennio. This track. I believe this score is written by Pino Donaggio. Is that right? I'm pretty sure. So that sequence is called because it's like on Spotify and stuff, and I was listening to it all day today. Well, when I could, Connor saw me at work, but there are times at work where I can like put in my earbuds and listen to a little bit of music, and uh, I cherish those moments. And this track is called "The Dream / The Nightmare / In Titles." It's a 6-minute like saga of like Caleb said, Sue walking with the flowers to the grave, and it's like Carrie burns in hell, and then it goes to the nightmare bit of the song, and it is so fucking good. Like that is just such a brilliant part of the song, and that lasts about a minute and a half, and then the movie ends, and it bleeds into the end title like music, and that it's like goes back to kind of dreamy, kind of Rosemary's Baby, like just like what did I just see? And God, those are my favorite endings in movies. Period. Is just that everlasting conversation that you can always go back to a movie like Carrie and be like, so what really happened at the end? And it has this rewatchability to it. That's the scene I watch the most, is that end scene. I just think it's done so well, and it's so frightening, knowing what happened before, because it's for Sue, she's like, no, I saw what was about to happen to you with the bucket. I was trying to save you. I saw what was happening, and it's just so much to that, to that. Sue is the one who survived. Everybody else died in the school. Like she carries that with her. That memory, she carries it with her, and whether or not Carrie's alive doesn't really matter for Sue. The trauma that like is with her forever now is like she is there. Doesn't really matter if she is physically or not. She's always going to be fucking with you, and like that's my favorite thing about this movie, is that it makes it endlessly rewatchable. It makes the story pretty much timeless, and here we are now, almost 50 years later.
Yeah, even though she survived, she has to live with that.
Yeah, yep. And I would not want to live with that. Like, I just wouldn't.
Yeah, so whether it be the Stephen King supernatural of Carrie is messing with her in her dreams, or that's just literally her PTSD.
Correct.
Has to deal with.
Fucking A. It's hard being a person. Yeah.
Very true. I picked a different moment. Mine is it's after the prom, and Carrie goes home, and mom stabs her.
That music is so fucking sick. Yeah.
It's so sad. It's the death of love. It's a mother trying to kill her child, and then her child killing her. And just the music sounds so twisted. It's, love being like replaced by fanaticism, and just it's a losing battle, and there's no turning back. And you feel this complete absence of any kind of caring in Margaret. It's, I have to kill the witch because God told me to.
And the music with the noises of the knives as Carrie is like, fink, fink, like it's just, it's like, it gives me chills just thinking about it. Great pick.
It's sad, and it hurts, and it's creepy. It's just everything.
Ugh, yeah. It's like that. The end of this movie, you feel like you have to take a shower. You're like, oh God, like I was just in filth. Like
you got drenched in all the blood that Carrie spilt at the prom.
Yeah, just pig blood. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that was the other thing. That was like when I was watching the movie, I was like, damn, what's my Ennio gonna be? Because I like the score a lot, and obviously has the psycho thing going for it that just
I almost picked that. I was this close. I almost.
Yeah, it's brilliant. But even the opening credits, it like lulls you in like big time as you go into the shower scene where you're like, it's weird. You're looking at like high school girls who are naked, and it's got the mist and the like kind of like fog in the showers. It like really starts messing with your head, and it opens up with the period, the blood, and you're like, man, like what am I watching? Like this is some weird shit. But it's Brian De Palma, it's Stephen King, and it's horror, so it's like just kind of a match made in heaven with all these people.
Oh yeah, it's weird, but like, god damn, if that opening scene isn't effective. And I challenge obviously for females, because I cannot imagine something like that happening.
Oh my God.
Most females, they hit puberty and periods and things start happening. Obviously I'm a dude, I can't fucking fathom that. But even as a guy watches, I'm like, that is just, oh God, like I'm cringing for her. I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
God, I cannot imagine like you're in a repressive religious household and that's your first time experiencing that. And it's in that type of setting. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
It's
you're not
brutal.
met with
It's
any
brutal.
sort of help or sympathy. You are ganged up on and pelted with tampons by screaming people. And all you're thinking is, I'm bleeding to death and no one's helping me.
yeah. Even when, because
Yeah.
she help me. She's yelling, "Then help me," because she doesn't. She's not prepped that this is part of the female puberty experience, part of growing up. Just like guys have things we gotta deal with when we get hit puberty, females have their thing, and it obviously it's going to hit a lot harder for females obviously, but
Yeah.
I challenge any dude to try to sit there and be like not cringe or even feel a little like sympathy in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one of my wife's favorite horror movies, like of all time. And she loves obviously the like female perspective of it and her getting her revenge later on in the movie on a lot of these people. But yeah, she was talking about that scene, like the like exactly what you're talking about, Caleb. And she's like, that's when she made a good point. Where and once I thought about it, I was like, oh yeah, that's actually pretty obvious. Like when that happens, the first thing like Brianna thought the first time she said she saw this movie was like, well, who the fuck raised her? Like if she's bleeding and she's freaking out this way, like, before we even see Piper Laurie, you're already like, who the fuck raised this girl? Like who fucked up?
Mm,
Because she's in high school. Like this happens to some girls in middle school. Like she should know this is coming. And so you already, before you even see the crazy Piper Laurie character of Margaret, you're already like, fuck that lady, or fuck whatever parents raised her.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that perspective of how effective that opening 5 minutes is of just like, oh my God, like there's so much to it. And it's incredible. Like this movie doesn't really let up, but I'd say like the beginning and the ending are the most frightening and like kind of thought provoking parts of the movie.
Yeah.
mm.
High school is hell for some people.
And
Yeah.
again, that's why Stephen King is so great, and obviously Brian De Palma for filming the scene and whatnot.
Oh
But
yeah.
before any
No.
supernatural stuff happens, you have a real life horror happen.
Correct.
You
Yeah, and
know,
that's always a good place to like start. Like, 1 foot forward first and make it real. And then you can you've lulled people in, you know.
yeah.
Yeah. All of my favorite horror movies usually do that. Like half the movies like, oh that like does happen or really could happen. And then
Mhm.
you start to kind of mess with things and mess with, imagination later on. Like a hereditary.
Yeah.
Something horrible happens to a child and the rest of the movie's like it's gonna start getting weird. I've always appreciated that.
You get people in the door with something that's freaky but somewhat relatable, and you keep them there by upping the ante.
Yeah.
That's the perfect horror movie.
Slowly but surely. Yeah.
Yeah, because Brianna's right. Because like you watch that, because yeah, I get where she's coming from. That you raised her. Because unfortunately, in real life, there are, and it tells us as an audience what kind of her upbringing is. Because unfortunately, in real life, there are religious nut jobs like that do not
Correct.
tell their kids these things, where they're male or female. They don't tell them these things. They do treat it like Carrie's mom does, and those people do
Yes.
exist, and that is also a part of the horror of that scene. Is that like obviously, yes, that's a very good point. Brianna probably like who the hell raised her. And then when you do see, it's like, oh shit, people like this are out there and they exist. There are religious people that will not talk about this with their kids, and their kids
Yeah.
freak out when this shit happens.
Yeah. That's the scariest part of this movie is fucking Piper Laurie. She's so fucking evil. All right. Well, let's get into the best performance of the movie. For me, it's down to two people, but I don't know about you guys.
It was down to two people for me.
Yeah, Connor.
I don't know. Travolta's really pulling in some great work here. I mean, that alone is worth noting.
Just the way he talks to that fucking pig. Yeah, like
that Carrie sure is cute. You shut up. But yeah, it's I don't know. Yeah, but you're right. It's between two people.
It's between mother and daughter. It's between Sissy and Piper. Yeah. It's just what you think is more effective. You know, Sissy obviously is really carrying the movie. Carrie. And she's, you know, pretty much in every shot. But when Piper Laurie comes to the screen, she fucking brings the heat. So I don't know. What do you value more, Caleb?
I had long debate on this throughout the entire runtime of the film.
Me too.
Like, they're both bringing it. I am giving this one. My hat is in the ring on Sissy Spacek.
Okay.
This is a very early role for her. It is a clear evidence of, like, again, and I guess this also boils down to having seen the remake and literally even getting someone that just looks the part enough, or you know that. And again, I don't want anyone thinking like I'm insulting Sissy Spacek's looks, but like, you know, looks the homely part enough, right, for the role. As we saw when you get someone like Chloe Grace Moretz, that you don't believe it right off the bat. As soon as you say, you're like, you can try already to act this, but I don't believe it. She looks it and she brings the performance. She is just fucking superb. With how she is, you know, with how she's just saying, you know, mama, and like we didn't talk about one of the other scenes is when, you know, Miss White hears about the incident at school and Carrie comes home and she's reading the Bible verse and she's sitting there going, "You should have told me, mama. You should have told I didn't sin, mama." And like, such a gripping scene.
Yeah.
And like both of them just going off each other. And then seeing like when, you know, she's defiant at first and then Sissy Spacek finally goes, you know, she says it because, you know, she's getting hit and stuff, and she finally says it all the way to, and I don't get too much into the prom sequence, but all the way through to that part of the movie when you see Carrie so happy, so joyful, and you as audience are rooting for her. I'm saying going, fucking you go, girl, you have your moment, you deserve it.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
And and then obviously that switch she flips when the big moment happens, and you just see determination and anger and hatred. And yeah, I can't talk enough about Sissy Spacek in this role. I do remember the short-lived Castle Rock on Hulu. I remember when they announced her coming back because she's pretty much retired, coming back to do this because it's a Stephen King property, and that just tells you I feel like that tells you so much of how she felt working on this film, what it means to her, especially the fan reaction to it, that she was all those years later said like, I will come back for this Stephen King property and play a different character. And guess what? She was one of the best fucking parts of that first season. There's a whole episode dedicated. She has, I forget what it was. She, you know, had some kind of thing going on in the show, and there's a whole episode they dedicated to like just her character. And it was one of the best fucking episodes. She was acting her ass off, circles around everyone. So like, yeah, Sissy Spacek all the way.
Hell yeah. I love that. I respect that a lot. There's nothing wrong with that perspective. And Connor, I'm wondering if you're gonna counter it.
You know, if you turn the movie off before the bucket drops, this is a beautiful film about how a high school rallies around the outcast and gives her one night of happiness. Anyway, it's just so devastating. Yeah, Caleb's right. Sissy Spacek is incredible in this movie, but I gave it to Piper Laurie.
I knew it. I knew you would do that. Yeah. You've this is your trademark, Connor. You always take that supporting heat check performance.
I love a good bad guy.
We have a tiebreaker now with Austin when you're done, Connor.
Yeah, I love a good bad guy. I love a character who is just so sadistic and so self-absorbed, like Margaret White. She doesn't care about anything but God's plan, even if she has to enforce it. Like from the moment you meet her, she's just, you know, parading literature to people who don't want it. And everyone's like, oh, it's Margaret.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Like here's $5. You know what? Here's $10.
Yeah. Sue's mom is like on the phone. Is like, let me just get rid of her and then I'll call you back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Margaret can hear her. Anyway. Yeah. And then when we meet, you know, when we finally get an interaction between her and her daughter, it's just sad and depressing and freaky when she drags Carrie into the closet with
Oh,
Carrie
dude.
screaming and just is like, pray for God's forgiveness. And I'm just like, fuck, man, these people exist.
Yeah. It's
These
like,
people-
dude, you're like, lady, your daughter had her period for the first time. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. Nobody, like the school didn't send a counselor over or ever
Nothing.
called
No,
this
because the
woman.
principal kept calling her Casey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That scene pisses me off so much. He's calls her Cassie Wright like 5 times.
And that's when she,
Yeah.
has her powers and the ashtray goes flying. Yeah.
He keeps getting corrected and is just ignoring it. Like I get it. If I had the principal calling me Conrad like 6 times in a row, it would piss me off.
Oh,
Uh,
Conrad's a cool fucking name though.
If
it's
anything,
not mine though.
if anything, she was restrained. I would have done a scanner's move on that fucking principal.
Yeah, that'd be a hell of a way to show the power. And, like, just no ashtray, just blow up the principal's head from the get go.
Yeah.
That Jesus.
Yeah, then we have no movie. Yeah.
Say my
Yeah.
name again.
Yeah.
The big what switched it for me was this. There's this story that Piper Laurie was under the impression she was making a comedy. She decided
like a fucking hocus pocus or like what?
Yeah, like she thought this was supposed to be over the top, hammy. So she played it as this like, crazy religious zealot who's not to be taken seriously. And Brian De Palma was like, "You're doing great, but this is supposed to be serious." And she was like, "There's no way. No, nobody would ever do this." Like Piper Laurie had to be told, like, no. So the fact that she was doing a performance for a movie that she didn't know she was making, that's fucking awesome.
What I love is that they told her. I love the idea that Braun was like, no, wait, like, no, it's a horror. He didn't go with it. He's like, it's a horror movie. She went, no. No, you're making a comedy.
Yeah. I got this. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Listen
she's
to me, Mr. Director.
Yeah, and she's absolutely terrifying. And at the end, when she just gets the knife and just without fucking hesitation stabs her daughter in the back, like this is she's fantastic. And I don't know if anybody else could have pulled that off the way that she does. She toes that line between like almost too crazy and scary. She's on that line just perfectly the whole time.
They can't, because I've seen the remake, and while Julianne Moore does a decent job, she is not compared to Piper Laurie.
Yeah. Just that movie just did not need to be made because I love Julianne Moore, but come on, like she just doesn't have that in her arsenal, like Piper Laurie does. I mean, I love Julianne, but yeah, no, it ain't working. Man, yeah, I thought about this all day. This is the toughest. I thought about this more than I thought about the Deacons. The Deacons was pretty easy for me to choose. But man, and I've read tidbits about both of them just because it's like, man, what do you got to do to do this, right? And the reason I'm going to side with the lead with Sissy Spacek is she did some pretty gnarly stuff to get prepared for this, and I'm a big fan of if someone carries a movie. I keep saying that, and does a good job. Does a worthwhile job and has lasted this long. Her name is the movie and she's on the DVD cover by herself. When you think of Carrie, you think of Sissy Spacek and that kind of strawberry blonde, reddish hair. It's one of those iconic things that I can't really look past. And then I was like, yeah, but Piper Laurie's like truly great in that movie. And then I read about Sissy. I read about she was locking herself away before filming this movie. She was locking herself into rooms by herself, and she was practicing like positions that she let me rewind. She was reading a Bible, an illustrated version of the Bible. I can't remember the guy's name that wrote it. I believe this is like one of those tidbits that's on IMDb. It's also like on anything you when you read trivia about Carrie, this always comes up. I can't remember the guy's name, but he has an illustrated version of the Bible with like pictures and stuff. And she was looking through that, and she found pictures of people being stoned for their sins. in this illustrated Bible, and she practiced those positions so that a lot of the scenes, whether it be in the shower where she's kind of like, scrunched down and like looking like this, like doing one of these things, she literally in every scene, like almost every frame, at one point looks like somebody from a different century that's about to get bashed in for just being her, basically. Everybody else thinking that it's like a problem with her sins or whatever it is. And this is a young woman doing this, dedicating herself to the craft, creating a path, quite frankly, for herself as now a career performer, someone who's been around for fucking 5 decades. And it's because when you do stuff like this at that age in your 20s, people respect it. People give you a recognition and awards recognition, and horror fans certainly appreciate it. And I don't know, there's something about what she did here that is like, fuck, I don't know if this movie would have worked with other people. I'm not quite sure anybody at that time has what Piper Laurie's doing either. I think Piper Laurie's she's doing something really special too. But I really think there is no one who can quite do the Sissy Spacek thing that she's doing in Carrie. She was like 26 years old when she played this part. It is just a fucking lights out performance, and one of those that just seeps into your brain, and like you have no way of getting it out. I got to go with her, man. She did some cool stuff to prep for it, but I love that Piper Laurie bit though. She was in a different realm than everybody else, and it makes sense.
I read the trivia bit, and she still to this day is like, yeah, it was a black comedy.
Yeah,
like
yes,
she won't accept
yeah.
it. She was like, this is too over the top to be real.
Does she just not think that there are people like that in real life?
No, she doesn't. She said that she said the characterization, the wardrobe was laughable, the dialogue was humorous, like it was too over the top fanatical to be taken seriously. That's hilarious. She's like, this does not exist. This is crazy. And they just let her do what she wanted to do.
Fantastic.
If I was the problem, I'd be like, you know what? Let's just play this out. Let's see how this works out.
I love it. Did you guys know that Sissy Spacek is Texan?
Mm-hmm. I did know that.
Fuck yeah. And she was born on Christmas Day. Isn't that weird?
She's God's gift to filmmaking.
Yes.
I can't remember if she moved back to I know she doesn't live in Hollywood. Like I don't think she really lived in Hollywood to begin with, but when she retired, she got the hell out and moved to a whole different state. Like she lives a very quiet life now. That's why it was like when Castle Rock was like coming out and they were like, hey, we got Sissy Spacek. Everyone was like, holy shit, you got Sissy Spacek to come back to a Stephen King thing? Like, what the fuck? And like I said, she delivered in that first season.
Yeah. That show had such potential. God damn it.
It got canceled. I really like the second season.
Yeah, me too.
Sad stuff. All right. Let's talk about the prom scene.
I mean, come on.
The Roger Deakins award. The thing for me is like, all right, which part? Like what? Like for you, Caleb, what is the best part, or is the whole fucking 20 minutes?
Look, I cheated. The moment they go to prom, the death of all students, I put down. It just there's everything in this film from like I said, that you're finally, as an audience member, you're rooting for Carrie so much that when you see how happy she is, it's sweet. It's very sweet. But at the same time, especially if you've seen this before, it's painful because you're like, fuck, I know what's going to happen. And you see how happy she is, how much fun she's having. And you get classic De Palma fucking camera work in this when they're dancing and that camera's just swooping around them and stuff. And it's almost like you're watching, it almost feels like it feels magical. It's a magical feeling when you're watching it in that part. And you're like I said, you kind of get from it, you forget of what's to come. And you're like, you know what, fuck yeah, Carrie. This is your night. You are the queen. You got this. And then from the one shot of watching them fuck with the ballots, which is technically an amazing moment when you just see how it's just the camera doesn't quit. It just keeps tracking.
Yes.
The pigs, you see the pig's blood on the bucket. And then obviously the moment itself, right? And then before that, even then, when she gets named prom queen and she has that moment of happiness and the music swelling, you're like, yes, she has it. She won. She got it. You know it's cheating. Part of you still kind of like, well, she's having her moment. And then that pig's blood comes down, and from Sissy Spacek's performance to like the music, that when the camera's showing all the people laughing, and you get the line heard in her head, they're laughing at you. They're all going to laugh at you.
Yeah.
And they're just absolute destruction she wrought. Yeah, this prom scene, like the film, I mean, everything. I'm not saying like this film was great through and through. It's not like anything else is lackluster in this film. But for a movie that, like, going into it, you know what it's building to. Even if you don't know, you have an idea, like, this is what it's building to. This is what the film and the book itself wants to get to.
Yeah.
And it fucking delivers on all accounts.
Fuck yeah. God. Connor, you chose the same thing, I assume?
I did. Yeah. I mean, come on. How do you not?
Me too. Yeah.
It's the scene that defines the movie. It's on the fucking poster. It like no movie spoils the big moment like Carrie does. It's, Carrie's at the prom, and it's become a, when a woman, like when a teenager has a flip out moment, they're like, oh, it's Carrie at the prom. Like it's become a term.
Yeah. It's a part of our pop culture and our language now.
And it is like, it's a Cinderella story, it's Carrie at the prom and she's enjoying herself. And this dude is just like, I can never tell if Tommy Ross is really sincere about all this. He seems sincere, but I don't buy it.
I think if I recall in the book, he was sincere, but that was in the book.
Yeah, in the movie, it's like, do I have to? And Sue's like, yes, you have to.
I do like when they're having the argument with Miss Collins and Tommy Eakin. So it's just like the typical guy, like, look, I'm just here right now. Do you not?
Yeah,
I don't want to
yeah.
do it. You don't want me to do it? Okay, cool. I don't want to do it either.
Fucking his D. Snyder hair and his just, Tom Cruise smile. Like, who wouldn't trust this guy?
Yeah. I don't know. I do like the scene when Miss Collins, when Tommy's like, well, like, why is it such a big deal? And she's like, it is a big deal to Carrie. Like, you fucking numbnut. Like to some people, things do matter. And like inclusion does matter. You're Tommy Ross. Everybody likes you. You're fucking Mr. Popular. Doesn't matter to you.
The whole entire school can't understand what Carrie's feeling because they just see her as the weirdo. There's no, like, she's the one with the religious nut mom who doesn't, who fucks up at the volleyball games, doesn't know what a period is, and is just weird. So there's no sympathy whatsoever. And these popular kids, you really blame Sue for all this shit. But y'all laugh when Tommy gets knocked out by the bucket.
Oh yeah, his reaction is hilarious. Yeah,
like, ah.
yeah.
Yeah, especially if I recall the book, it's described a lot more harshly. I'm pretty sure he died.
Oh, the bucket killed him in the book.
Yeah, the bucket kills him.
Crushed his skull.
Yeah, it's a lot more graphic. And the movie's like, oh, he got knocked out. Oh.
Yeah.
But you just love seeing Carrie get even. Just finally stick it to these assholes. It's like, you want a weirdo, you fucking got one. And yeah, just like when she electrocutes the teachers. It's just,
yeah, it's a brilliant bit. Yeah,
the split screen, it's so well shot.
Oh, dude, Brian De Palma's split screen is second to nobody.
That dude had almost a pornographic fascination with split screen. It is such a sexual pleasure. I feel like
he is getting his creative rocks off for about a straight hour and a half during this movie. There's so many amazing shots, so many like from close up to tracking shot to just nasty, like, pig blood on this girl, focusing on her eyes. Like, this is just like a feast. It's a fucking visual feast, the prom scene, and it's very hard to look away. This is not a movie where you're kind of like looking on your phone a little bit here and there, whatever. Even if you're rewatching it, it's just like, God, this is damn good filmmaking and such a engaging story. The more I talk about it, the more I like it. And I definitely haven't ever talked about it at this length. And so this movie fucking rules, man. And that this has to be one of the most iconic scenes of all time because of how long it is and like what it means, the slow build up, how well executed it is, and it bleeds into she fucking sets the school on fire, and everybody in there burns like it's their own little personal hell, and then she kills fucking Chris and Billy while they're in the car. That's an excellent scene.
That's my
when the car like boom, flips over and you're like, oh man, that was sick.
That's my favorite bit because Chris and Billy left before Carrie got started.
Yes.
So Chris was just fully ready to just run Carrie down.
Yeah.
Like she didn't give a shit about what happened at prom. She was just like, there's Carrie. Like she just, that was it. And Carrie flips that car and lights those fuckers up. It's great.
It's fucking brilliant. All the way to the scene where she goes home. And it's like, man, what an epic fucking 30 minutes of horror filmmaking.
Yeah, man.
And again, Stephen King bullies, they are willing to kill the fucking person they're bullying. It's a scary trope. He puts in all this shit.
Yeah. Chris, whatever her last name was, Ace Merrill, Henry Bowers, they're all just like fucking murderers who keep getting like held back in school. They're always like 20 and they're always fucking crazy.
Yeah.
They're scarier than the monsters, man.
Oh man. God, brilliant stuff. This is great. What a cool movie.
Yeah, I really tried to pick a different scene. I was like, I gotta pick something different. And then the prom scene, I was like, I can't. It seems too good.
It's impossible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I was like, let me pinpoint a moment, and it's like, well, I don't know if I can do that either. I do love when it goes to slow mo, and when Miss Collins is like grabbing Sue, and you see Chris and Billy looking onto the stage, and like they see what's happening, and they're like, all right, it's fucking go time, you know. And it's in slow mo. The music's fucking creepy and weird, and kind of like feel like you're in a dream state. Let's talk about Norma for a second. Fuck that bitch. Norma's the girl with the hat. I can't stand her. And that she looks dumb as shit. How is she one of the head bullies at this school?
I've met that actress in real life. That's PJ Souls from Halloween.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. That says totally the whole fucking movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've met her. Me and Josh met her at Crypticon. Super nice lady.
Yeah, that's good because she's not nice in Carrie. You should have told her like, man, why are you such a bitch in that movie?
She was in that, and then she's in Devil's Reject. She has the one when Captain Spawn goes off on her kid about like, why don't you think clowns are fucking funny?
So she's a big fan of horror, I guess.
Yeah, she's a lot of work in horror.
That's cool. Yeah.
I think it's funny how many of the bullies like also look like outcasts, like by 70s standards, you know, like they don't look popular, but they're more popular than Carrie. And that's how they avoid getting singled out is they go after Carrie too.
Mob mentality. Yeah.
It's fucking
and also what I've learned now that, you know, obviously I'm 10 years removed from my high school graduation. Sometimes popularity isn't even based on looks and stuff. A lot of times it's based off the parents' social standing in the town.
Yeah, that's true.
It bleeds into the kids, you know what I mean? That happens a lot too.
I was so blind to that shit in high school. I just didn't give a fuck. I didn't even notice like if there were cliques. I didn't care. Nobody bothered me. I didn't bother anybody. So
we got lucky in our high school, but I'm just saying, like, I've noticed that with the popular kids, like, yes, obviously it does, but you know, it's usually your jocks, your more quote unquote attractive, you know, kids. But I have noticed that sometimes it is some of the social standing that parents have. It just like bleeds into like the kids standing in school.
Yeah. Yep. The plastics. Yeah.
The plastics. It's great. Oh man. Yeah. God, what a great movie. What a great movie. I've got a few more questions before we get out of here. I know we've been going for a long time, but this has been a blast. At the 49th Academy Awards, we have Sissy Spacek was up for Best Actress. She lost to Faye Dunaway. She won for Network. Talia Shire was also up for Rocky. Liv Ullmann for Face to Face, and Marie Christine Barrault for Cousin. I don't know how to say that. I don't know. Connor, have we ever talked about that movie?
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, that's
French romantic comedy. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've done we've done Rocky on the show, but I don't think we were looking at the categories like this back then when we did Rocky. So Sissy Spacek loses. Man, Faye Dunaway is a tough one to beat. But I don't know. I give it to Sissy.
You give it to Faye Dunaway for Chinatown, and you give it to Sissy for Carrie.
I agree with that. Faye Dunaway is a fucking angel. So I'm cool with her getting in movies, Connor, not in real life.
Yeah, it's like, hold on.
yeah. I saw your face like, no, she's not. I'm like, well, none of these fucking people are angels. They're all fucking animals. The people we talk about and praise are not great. But she's awesome on the screen. Yeah, so Sissy Spacek, I'll give her the win. Best Supporting Actress, Beatrice Straight won for Network. Jane Alexander was up for All the President's Men. Jodie Foster for Taxi Driver. Lee Grant for Voyage of the Damned. And Piper Laurie for Carrie. I might give this to Jodie Foster.
I'm not giving it to Beatrice Straight. I mean, she's good in her one scene in Network, but not for an Oscar.
Yeah, I fucking love Network, but no, yeah, I agree with you.
I give this to Piper Laurie. I just love that she had her own little. She was in her own little world while she was filming this. Just like, this is
so funny.
Just thinking like, the premiere is going to be hilarious.
Yeah.
And then
get my popcorn. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think it would.
You think she's sad that premiere was like wondering why no one's laughing? She's like, why is no one laughing?
I hope she owned it and was cackling the whole time.
Yeah, like making people uncomfortable next to her. Like,
it's just like, what is this? A funeral? Come on. Like, just
yeah. God. Because I would, based off my limited knowledge of these films outside of Carrie, I would give the awards to Sissy Spacek and Piper Laurie.
Yeah, they're both great. Both deserve all kinds of acclaim. I mean, I don't know. It probably should have been up for other random shit, you know. Hell, even the Best Picture group's pretty fucking good. It's kind of hard.
This is a film I'd argue for best editing.
Oh yeah, that's a good call. Yeah,
100%
film editing.
Yeah. This 100% should be a contender for best adapted screenplay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a music one we can give it?
Score?
Oh yeah.
Best original score.
Now here's the thing about best original score though. It might be nominated, but I don't think it's beating Jerry Goldsmith's The Omen.
Oh fuck! No.
Oh yeah. I would at least give it the nomination, but yeah, no. The Omen's what I do like quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, The Omen. Jerry Goldsmith is putting in a shift on that one. What
about cinematography?
Cinematography is a good shout out. Yeah, that's a good shout. This is a good year though. There's some good fucking movies from 1976. Cinematography. I mean, you got Network, Logan's Run, King Kong, Bound for Glory, and A Star Is Born. We can get rid of
King Kong. We've sat King Kong. That can go.
Yeah, we've done the work. It does not deserve to be here.
I totally agree. Even if something is good in a movie, I like if a particular, whatever, if the cinematography is good but the movie sucks, I don't know. I don't like really recognizing if the movie's not good and doesn't last and doesn't hold up. I don't know. I just don't care. Like, I'd rather something that, like Carrie, that still is in conversations, get that nomination.
I'm with you 100%. The phrase Academy Award winning film Suicide Squad still hurts to say.
Yeah, it's just like, really, that shit. I get like that particular part of the movie was fine, but it sucked. Like, the movie was a joke.
And also, like, King Kong did not have good cinematography, so I don't know why. It was not a good film with not good cinematography. Like Carrie De Palma has always, and it's not just Carrie. De Palma's always been a technical wizard.
Yeah, he's a freak. Yeah,
Like,
yeah, he should have been up for best director. I don't know who I would take out because I've seen Rocky, I've seen Network, and I've seen All the President's Men, but I have not seen Face to Face or Seven Beauties. So it's hard to like say one of those should be taken out. But yeah, De Palma is just a fucking freak of nature. Like he's you kind of know when like he's done a lot of different movies, but you kind of know when you're watching a De Palma film, you're like, yeah, that crazy bastard's behind the camera right now.
It's like the swooping shots and the split screens, and then you get in this one where you have like someone super focused up front.
Yep.
The weird thing going on in the back, and you're like, okay, I'm watching a De Palma movie. That's what I'm watching right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. Carrie should have made more of a splash, but I am glad it was included.
Yeah, we got to have this show. We got to have a lot of fun. We did a big old draft. We talked about Carrie for we talked about it longer than I thought we would. Once we got going, I was like, okay, we like this movie. And that's always fun. It's always a good feeling. That's why we do the awards, because you don't really fucking know where it's gonna go. You don't know which parts of the movie affected everybody. We were on the same page a lot. We just had a lot to say about the things we liked, and that's why we fucking do it. But yeah, we'll get the hell out of here. Let's see. This week's very random and going to be a lot of fun. On FILMGAZM, we're going to be talking about Terrifier. Terrifier 2 is out, and it's got a really cool wave of horror fans that are really into it. And so it'll be kind of cool to talk about those two movies, kind of in tandem, on a good old fashioned FILMGAZM. And then on Beyond the Bad, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's Octopussy.
Yes. So originally, I'll go ahead and say originally it was The Conqueror. That is hard to find, and I get it. I know why. I'm very aware.
Yes.
So I had to come up with a last minute option, and I was like, you know what? Let's see. We haven't done James Bond yet. So
I like it.
Yeah, this one I picked. I actually watched it right after I watched Carrie, so I've already watched it for the episode, and yeah, it's an interesting addition.
I'm very happy. Yeah. I'm very happy because, frankly, I don't know if I could have sat through The Conqueror again. That movie is abysmal, and I'm so tired of talking about John Wayne.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Now we just get to talk about an aging Roger Moore's James Bond.
There you go. That's more interesting. Yeah. And then next week on this show, Connor and I are going to be doing a movie that neither of us have ever seen, but we've always had it on kind of our back burner. And that's Tootsie, 1982. It's hitting its 40th anniversary this year, and so we wanted to kind of shout out a movie that we know we should see and we should check out and talk about. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll probably do some sort of 80s discussion to start that show. I can't wait. But yeah, keep following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at FILMGAZM. Check out the site for new reviews. Connor was in Germany/England for like a fucking week, and he's back now. So I assume he will be shredding through a lot of movies in the coming weeks as we are in kind of spooky season, which is always fun. So we'll see you guys on Wednesday, and keep watching movies.